Hey, Sequel Suck fans. Welcome to another episode of Sequel Suck, the podcast that loves all things sequels, prequels, and remakes. A quick warning off the top. This episode is going to be filled with spoilers for the newly released Scream 6. The embargo is over. We can go crazy and tell you everything that happens, our thoughts on every single scene, every single kill, and the reveal of who the killer is. So if you haven't seen the killer, or if you want to watch it before you get a chance to get around to listen to this episode, then heads up, spoilers, we're ruining everything.
By definition alone, they're inferior films. Films. Sequels suck. Sequels suck. Sequels suck.
Welcome back, movie fans. This is a podcast, Sequels Suck, and I'm your host, Cable Brandon. With me always is Angus Brown, and we have the exciting, job of telling you everything about Scream 6 that we saw almost a week ago now. So we've had,
wow.
Yeah, I know it does. It's not quite a week when we're recording, but by the time people see this on YouTube and stuff, it will have been a week. And even probably less than a week for our friends in the US and other people who are catching up on Friday their time. We saw it Wednesday our time. So we did see it a few days earlier and we were chomping at the bit to talk about it. Now we can. We've given you the spoiler warning. We will unfortunately be spoiling the hell out of this movie as we dissect the, second Radio Silence sequel to the Scream franchise, which is now apparently, according to the rules by Mindy, is a franchise. It's not just another sequel. We'll discuss all that too. Angus, we did a little, video in the car park after we watched the movie. I think we both walked away at least saying we had fun. But I want to just off the top, just totally go into, one of the elephants in the room leading into this film was the lack of Neve Campbell and the Sidney Prescott character. Mm-hmm. We obviously get a little throwaway mention by Gail in it. I guess that's what I want to know. I don't think we really discussed it too much. Did you think it impacted the film much, or do you think maybe some of the things that might be issues for you were rushed because they had to rewrite a lot of the film because of Neve not being available? Or I don't know. I just thought off the top, let's just hit everyone between the eyes with the Neve Campbell stuff. And Sidney Prescott. Because let's face it, the reality is Scream, at least initially, is revolved around Sidney Prescott and her family. And then obviously it does get to a point where you sort of do think as each movie goes on, how can it be always about her? Imagine living her life in real life if this was her life. But it does get to a point where you go, yeah, I understand if Neve doesn't want to come back and the Sidney Prescott character has to be retired. But how do you feel about it at the end of the day?
I think you nailed it. I think it impacts the film because of the rewrites that had to happen. This is already a quick turnaround. We're just barely a year between Scream films. And this time we lost, the lead. We lost the heroine of the series who's been there for 5 films, saving the day. And even though they started the transition in Scream 5, everyone knows that this was never the plan. Radio Silence didn't write her out by choice. She was invited back. It was a contract negotiation where they just didn't offer her enough money, or she didn't feel like she was being offered enough money. However, whoever side you fall on, cash was the issue. She chose not to come back, and they chose to push forward without her, which means they had to rewrite the script. So initially, it was kind of brushed off a bit. Radio Silence Sidney Prescott wasn't going to be a big character in Scream 6 anyway. She was a bit of a minor. Then as we got a couple of weeks out from release, they started changing their story. Just slightly, just saying, actually, there were some pretty big rewrites that had to happen when Neve Campbell decided not to return. And look, listeners of the show know my feeling about the death of Dewey Riley very well. But, you killed off 1/3 of your hero trio in 5, kind of, I think, expecting that the other 2 would just be around whenever you wanted them. Yeah. And suddenly, no, you've got one. You've got one of the originals who came back, I'm sure, for a heck of a lot of money once she found out it was just her. In fact, I noticed that Courtney Cox is a producer on this film.
Yes.
So she's getting hers, and hats off to you, Courtney Cox. You get yours. You deserve it. She also, and I don't know if this is by design or by request, but again, this is where the spoilers start. Gail Weathers is not in this movie very much at all. She gets like 1.5 scenes. Now, the one scene that she gets is good. It's a good scene, but this is not Gail Weathers coming into the story the way that any of the quote unquote legacy characters did in Scream 5. This is Gail Weathers shows up in one scene and is kind of shooed away, and then doesn't really come back that much. You know, we get little glimpses, and then she gets that one powerhouse scene. She's not like, there's no her showing up in the third act. You know, viewers will see like the third act is pure new cast plus Kirby, but no Gail like storming in to save the day like she did in 5. No last act reveal that, oh, secretly Sidney Prescott is in this movie and we tricked you, which I like didn't think would happen, but I half-heartedly wondered if maybe this was all a fake out and the third act reveal would have something to do with Sidney, you know, being in hiding on purpose so that she could step out of the shadows and be like, you didn't expect me to be here, suckers, and then shoot Ghostface in the head because no one knew Sidney was there. But that doesn't happen. Gail barely is in it, and then Gail goes away after a Ghostface attack, which when we watched it, like, was one of the most tense moments in the film. And I felt very tense for you, Cable, because I know what a big Gail Weathers / Courtney Cox fan you are. And they really sold the shit out of it that they were killing Gail. You know, they played the music. Scream fans know the music. When a character dies, you get like that. And they did the Scream thing where she gets stabbed and then she fights back and she's just about to like defeat the killer, and then out of nowhere there's a giant chunk of glass that just gets rammed into her side, and you're like, oh fuck, they did it. They did Gail. Which, you know, I suspected they would kill her off in this one. I think if Neve Campbell had have come back, there's a good chance that she did get killed off in that scene. You know, because last time everyone kind of expected one of them would die, and everyone kind of expected it would probably be Dewey. I think this time, if it was just the two of them back, not a lot of people would have suspected they'd kill another of the legacy characters. And I don't think anyone would have really suspected that Gail would go down, especially given that, you know, she's now a producer and is so eager to return for all the Screams.
Yeah.
So that was a tense, scary scene and a really good one. Like the way that they shot that was really cool. There's jokes. This movie's got jokes. Like fun is back in Scream. Who would have guessed? You know, that great moment where the killer's like, your boyfriend's dead, and she looks at him. The killer's like, all those muscles didn't do much good, and she looks at him. She's like, no, they did not. Like, oh, you don't care about him at all. Like, you just made a joke about your boyfriend's throat being cut. Because it was really cool. But I do think that we get a very different Scream 6, and I think we get a very different story for Gail Weathers if Sidney Prescott is in this movie.
I kind of want to, you sort of made me think and hit the nail on the head that if, I know they can't plan too far in advance because look, that's what happened with Scream 4. They hoped it would be bigger. It wasn't, so any sequel trilogy got shelved. And now obviously there's a reboot. There was no guarantee Scream 5 was going to be a huge hit like it was, and they would get greenlit for a sixth and maybe seventh installment. So I guess I understand they can't go too far down the track to negotiate deals with the main players necessarily, but you kind of think now in hindsight, and this is spoilers for the Star Wars sequels, that was the problem they ran into with The Last Jedi and Beyond, is that you kill off Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, but then unfortunately in real life you lose Carrie Fisher, and then you don't have the footage and the scope to maneuver that storyline.
And yeah, you've already killed off Harrison Ford too. So.
Yeah, well, sorry, yeah, and you've killed off Harrison Ford, so you've lost him, and then you've unfortunately in real life lost Carrie Fisher, so your Princess Leia thing's not really big, but then you've decided to go, well, we're going to still go through with killing off Luke. Yeah, you can bring him back as Force Ghost, but I think that's similar here. You're right. Like, once they knew they were going to go, okay, we're going to kill Dewey, we need to make sure Neve and Courtney are signed up for subsequent films if this goes well.
I am surprised.
Yeah,
I'm surprised there wasn't something in a contract that said, like, you know, if we pay you, you know, X amount of money for this film, you agree to show up, you know, at least in a cameo role in the next one if we make it. And
Yeah.
if we don't make it, then you got paid extra for this movie, and if we do, well, then you get paid for that as well. But this is kind of and I suppose perhaps that was floated, and they didn't want to do that, or I mean, if money was the reason that Nev Campbell didn't come back for 6, then there's a good chance that money was a bigger issue on 5. It is worth noting though, and I don't know if this is a tick or a cross for Nev Campbell, but it is worth noting that as of today, it's been announced that Scream 6 is the highest grossing Scream film on opening weekend out of any of the Scream films, including Scream 2, which was an absolute sensation that like floored people, and it was pandemonium. This is, pre-modern day internet. People were flocking to the movie based on word of mouth and TV spots. And Scream 6 has outdone it. So it is the highest grossing opening weekend for a Scream film. People are going to the movies in droves to see this film, which is really, really impressive. So they definitely, I mean, I pre-opening weekend, they announced Scream 7 was happening. So I am quite interested to see what that means now, because I'm sure that Nev Campbell probably thought that maybe she had some bargaining power going into 7, kind of like, we'll see how you go without me, guys. Like, good luck. And the way they went without her is they made the most amount of money on opening weekend that a Scream film has ever made, which has got to sting a bit for Nev Campbell, I think. I do hope that it doesn't change the dynamic, because there was always the talk that like she's not done, she's just not coming back for this one, and that was made very clear by both her and Paramount and Radio Silence and everyone. No one wanted to like slam that door shut. They're like, we're not killing her. She's not quitting the series. She's just not in 6. And to be truthful, would have been weird trying to get Sidney Prescott to New York City in this one. Like, it would have just been a repeat of Scream 5, where she just showed up where the killings were happening, despite desperately wanting to get away from the killings. It would have been a bit of a long bow to draw, I think. So I missed her a lot, but not as much as I thought. I did think the whole movie I'd be like, where's Sydney? They kind of did a good job of keeping it moving fast enough that I didn't sit around going, well, why isn't Sydney here? Sydney should be in this scene. Like, they wrote a film without her, and I think they did it pretty well in regards to writing without Sydney. The rest of the script we'll discuss, but the writing around her, I think they did a pretty good job.
Okay, so I guess we've got our Sydney Prescott, Nev Campbell stuff sort of out of the way, I guess. Tell me something. What was something else you loved in this movie?
The number one thing that I loved about this movie, it was fun. Like, it is a very fun movie. It is fun in the way that perhaps not on the same level as the original 4, but it has that element of, this is fun. This is a silly horror slasher where we're going in and we're having a good time, and we know that people are coming to watch this movie to have a good time, not to sit around and be sad. I feel like 5 was very morose. It was heavy and dark. There were no jokes. Occasionally Richie would be a little bit funny, like the where were you? I was watching Netflix. Like, that's kind of a funny scene, but also it's obviously him covering his tracks because it's revealed he's the killer. Where in this one, there's some genuinely funny stuff. So I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And I really think that they cottoned on after 5 that, Scream movies are not serious movies. They never have been. And making them deeply serious things. Even the fact, like, they mirror Mindy's like rules scene. So in Scream 5, and they're all sitting around in Mindy and Chad's house and talking about the rules, and Dewey is there. And there's a little bit of like a slight attempt at humor when they're like, when Wes, I think, says something.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you're the killer. He's like, why would I be the killer? He's like, well, your wife left you. You've been stabbed like a bajillion times. You're an alcoholic and you got fired. And he's like, well, maybe you're the killer because that hurt. And I was like, oh, that cut me deep. Yeah. And it's like, okay, that's an attempt at a gag, but also it didn't really land. And they had betrayed Dewey's character so much by that point. Like, he was unrecognizable in making funny little Dewey jokes. Whereas this one, Mindy does the rules scene, and I thought it was funny. Like, it was lighter. Mindy was kind of like playing around a lot more. The characters are all playing around a lot more. The new characters, I think across the board, are more likable, including Sam, who I just was hoping would get killed off in the opening credits of this movie before I saw it, because I didn't want another movie of her doing what she did in Scream 5. Man, I'm on the Chad bandwagon in a big
Oh
way
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I love Chad in this movie. Like, and reminding everyone, spoilers, but again, like when they're in the theater and he gets the shit stabbed out of him by the two Ghostface, I was like, you fucking doing me again. Like you are taking away the heart. Stop doing it. And then at the end, when he gets rolled out, when they're like, we got a live one, I'm like, oh my God, they are doing him. They're doing him. He's alive. And they roll him out. And he's alive. And they even say, they're like, how are you alive? And Mindy is there and she's somehow running around despite getting gut stabbed severely,
Yeah,
like worse than Annika, who dies from her.
yeah,
Well, I guess she dies from falling off the roof, but Annika is like dying without falling off that ladder.
yeah.
Mindy is just like running around, and then she's like, "How are you alive? What happened? Did I miss it again? I am very high. They gave me lots of drugs." Like they're making jokes. It's great. It's so good that they found the fun of it again, and that they made these characters like.
I really wonder if they did really sit back. I mean, there would have been a lot of toxic stuff after the fifth one, but I really think they did sit down and they really looked at the feedback, positive and negative, 4, 5, and tried to sort of correct the mistakes. Because even though there is very much a stab part of this universe or about this movie, it felt very small. It didn't felt overwhelming. There wasn't another stab movie coming out. It wasn't front and center. It was there sort of in the background, especially the reveal of Richie and him being a movie maker and him having this collection and having the posters. And there's that initial thing with Jason at the start where he's got obviously a little bit of a shrine in his cupboard where he puts the mask. But it's almost like stab never gets mentioned. And I think that was one of the pet peeves of people for 5 that was like, oh, stop, just give us a movie that's not worrying about stab and a stabathon and all the films. Like, just give us these characters again. And I feel like that's something they were probably pretty conscious of, and they didn't. The great thing was there was no new stab movie that we knew of. There was no discussion of the stab fans. There was no discussion of which stab movie was better than the other. It was just like, okay, stab's mentioned because we have to mention, or it has to be sort of part of the background, but it's not going to be front and center. It's not going to be discussed. A bit like in 5 where there was some of the killers weren't discussed and not even mentioned. This one was good. They paid homage to every one of the killers pretty much.
Everyone, yeah.
And it was all got their little tick. And yeah,
again, making jokes like when they talk about Roman Bridger, like the only stab one who worked by themselves. Hats off to you, or whatever the line is, where they kind of acknowledge like that's a lot of effort to do what the Ghostface do with just one of you, and the joke that Scream fans like, there's no way he could do it alone, and they kind of winkingly acknowledge that. Something I do want to say, like before.
Before, how many times have you seen it? Have you seen it once? Oh, you have seen it. Okay, good.
Yeah, I've seen it twice. But something I want to say just before like we dig too much deeper in this, just to put context around this movie, because it's something I've been thinking about a lot the last couple of days. Like Ghostface is one of the big horror guys now, in terms of like iconography. Ghostface is up there with your Freddy and your Jason and your Pinhead and stuff. So I just want to put some context around where we are in 2023. And I'm going to tell you some other films that have gone 6 or more films deep, just to remind the listener of the world that we're playing in here. This is the 6th entry in a slasher franchise. Some other titles I can throw at you if we're talking about the 6th entry in a slasher franchise: Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, Jason Lives, Friday the 13th Part 6, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Curse of Chucky, Saw 6, Hellraiser, Hellseeker. Then, like, you get into your next tier down, you've got things like Tremors, Cold Day in Hell, Leprechaun, Back to the Hood, Alien vs. Predator, Requiem, Terminator, Dark Fate, Jurassic World, Dominion, Survival of the Dead, Amityville, It's About Time, Children of the Corn, 666, Isaac's Return, Howling 6, The Freaks, Texas Chainsaw, The Beginning, Resident Evil, The Final Chapter, Critters, A New Binge, Wrong Turn 6, Last Resort. There's a lot more I can go into, but most of those films didn't even get a theatrical release, let alone have original cast come back, let alone be actually good movies, and forget about having the highest grossing opening weekend of any in the series. Like if you stack Scream 6 up against even
all those 6 movies, it's the best one.
Yeah, like if you stack it just against the big boys, the 6th Halloween movie, the sixth Freddy movie, the sixth Jason movie, the sixth Chucky movie, the sixth Saw movie, the sixth Pinhead movie. Like, none of them, with the exception, in maybe in my opinion, of like Jason Lives Friday the 13th Part 6, but because I think that's just a lot of fun. But I can look at that and be like, that movie is not where the series was back in the first
Yeah.
couple. Like it's wacky as hell and it's really fun, but it is not, some top shelf.
No, I hear what you're
horror.
saying.
This film is like, this is a proper, really well made, big budget film that still has one of the original stars and two of the franchise stars in it in 2023. Like, that is the first movie came out in 1996. If you follow the metric of every other big slasher film, this movie should be a pile of shit that goes straight to DVD.
I agree.
That it is.
I agree, and that's kind of
good.
like to go a bit inside baseball. That was a conversation and when I say conversation, more a voice note that I left for you and Sean, but more Sean, who is one of our good friends and chat flicks regular, and obviously has appeared on our Halloween episodes. He is such a huge Scream fan, yet he was so gutted by 5. He was just putting his foot down. I'm not even going to go see 6, and I was like, he'll change his tune. He'll go. And even as of this morning, he was like, nah, I'm not going. My best friend said this and he hated it. He thought it was rubbish as well. I was like, wow, like, how, like, and you're a fan of, like you just said, you just reeled off those franchises. You can be a fan of those franchises, but just admit, like, you go and see the movie and it was rubbish, but I went and had a Michael Myers experience again, or I had a Jason Voorhees experience, or Freddy. Like, why would you just give up on Scream? Because even if you didn't love 5, still, when you look at the quality of the films that are already in the catalogue, you pretty much go, well, I might not love every moment of them, but they're still pretty high standard compared to some of the other dribble we watch. And so that was,
and that's just mentioning the Part 6s. That's not mentioning what comes after. Like, I'm not talking Halloween H2K.
Yeah.
I'm not talking, like the Leprechaun movies that keep going, or the Chucky movies. That's just 6. Like, some of these movies keep going afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want audiences that are listening right now just to have that in their mind. If you're on the fence a bit about it, or if you're like, it's not as good as the originals, no argument here. And I don't think any Scream film that comes from now until the end of time is gonna touch the sides of Wes Craven's Scream films. I think they are different beasts, and it's hard to accept. I certainly was not jumping on board as soon as that happened. I was excited for 5, but when I saw what 5 was, I jumped right off that bandwagon. I was like, oh no, this isn't for me. I don't like it. Icky poos. But now I know what a Scream film is without Wes Craven. And after Scream 6, I see what a Scream film can be. And I'm right back into it. Like, I think we're pretty lucky that these films are still made.
Yeah, I think to sort of touch on something you had said earlier today too, is that with these films, you've just got to let go of it's not going to be as the high benchmark that the first one set, or even the second one, or even the third, if you put that on a pedestal. Like, you've just got to let go and enjoy the ride for what it is. They've had to, in fairness to Radio Silence too, they've had to go, you know what, we want to still have Gail involved, we still want Dewey, we still want Sydney, but that's not the real. We can't keep 10, 12 movies down the track, we can't keep bringing these guys back all the time, because it probably costs you too much money to keep bringing them back. But they
also,
want to
for a story point of view, it does start to become a bit ridiculous. Like,
100%. It's like
the fact
Bruce Willis doing 5 Die Hard movies and maybe doing a 6. It's like
the fact that Sydney, like, they mention her in this movie and they're like, Sydney texted, she's safe, she's not coming, and then Gail's like, that's fine, she deserves a happy ending. That makes the most sense for that character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she only comes back in 5 because she loves Dewey. She doesn't love Gail. She never loved Gail. They have like an agreement that they will fight Ghostface, but they don't like each other. I mean, they certainly don't hang out between movies. They only hang out whenever there's another killing. And most of the Scream movies start with Sydney trying to punch Gail. So no, she wouldn't come back to New York to protect, not Gail, but to protect these other kids who are getting slashed up again. Because I could see her argument would be like, hey, a year ago I did this shit. I hooked you up. I showed you everything you need to know. Fuck that. I got stabbed. I'm not getting stabbed again. You're on your own. And that makes total sense for her character. And if she comes back in 7, if it's not in New York City again, that would make sense too. So it is. I'm the last person who is going to champion the new era of characters in this willy nilly. But after this one, I've come around to the possibilities. I think that a lot of the nonsense is out of the way. I think there probably had to be a lot of nonsense in 5, and in hindsight, we'll probably go, you look, I guess, when you're coming back to this film series X amount of years after number 4, which did do great at the box office, despite the fact it's fucking awesome. I'm talking to you, Scream 4 haters. There was people out there who didn't dig it. It didn't get a great rep. It kind of killed the vibe for a bit. There was a lot of work to do to get anyone who wasn't a Scream fan excited about a Scream film again. And in this one, it feels like they're done with all that. It feels like they could just have fun.
Yeah.
And that was so much more interesting as an audience member.
And that's the thing too. I do feel like the people that didn't like 5, some of that was not really loving the new characters necessarily. And like I said, I think Sam there was a lot of hate for Sam. There was a lot of love for Sam. It didn't feel like there was any in between. You either loved her or hated her. And so a lot of people weren't fans. I don't think a lot of fans were really fans of the whole Billy stuff and her being the daughter and all that sort of stuff. But now you get into this movie, I think you just got to let it go and go, well, they're moving forward with this character. You just got to go with it. And I do feel like it's a good character now in that she probably has that little bit of a streak, and there's still those doubts and those visions she has. You go, well, she's the good guy now, and she's the one that's sort of the victim. But you could totally see in the 7th movie, she's the one that flips and she's the killer. Like, I do like that idea because I don't think that would ever really work for someone like Sydney and some other characters that we've had through the journey that have lasted a couple of movies. I think Sam definitely has that about her that she could easily look like she flips, but I do feel like this was better because we'd already met the characters, so we could just move forward. And like I said, they were a lot more likable. Chad was so good.
Chad's great in this movie.
I really like Mindy, but I'm not super high on Mindy either, but I liked her in this one.
Yeah, she's really fun.
Tara was really good. So I think the core 4 were really good.
That's along with the core 4. But that is a really interesting thing that I was keen to see in Scream 6 is what happened when Tara was let loose, because it's easy to forget in Scream 5 she has the Halloween 2 problem. Like, Tara is in a hospital bed the whole movie bar the opening scene. She can't do shit. Like, and when she does kind of out of the hospital bed for the final act, again, she's on crutches, she's like stabbed to shit, broken legs. She can't really get involved in the film. And when it gets to the climax, they hide her in a fucking cupboard. Like, they really shot down their quarterback, because Jenna Ortega is a great actor, but she's also a great genre actor who's really like leaning into this idea that she could make a name for herself as a new screen queen, doing the Wednesday film, doing X. She's championing to get on board with a new film, Beetlejuice 2. It looks like she's going to cast in Beetlejuice 2 as Winona Ryder's daughter. She's going dark with it. Which is great, and we didn't get to see her play much in the Scream world.
And she was in The Babysitter Killer Queen as well.
She was in that as well. I know her from Stuck in the Middle, which my daughter loves, which is really unsettling to watch her in the morning be a child on a Disney sitcom, and then in the evening go and watch her get stabbed by Ghostface. But she's having a long career, and God bless her for it. That's great. But I was really excited that Tara got unleashed in this one, and we could see her actually be a fully fledged character. And I thought the way that they wrote her dealing with the quote unquote trauma of Scream 5 was really interesting, because she has a great line where she's like yelling at Sam. She's like, "I'm not going to let what happened to me for 3 days a year ago define my whole life." And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, when this shit happens in a Scream movie, it's not happening over a period of months. It usually happens over a weekend. It's not. I think Scream might be the longest period of time that happens. Maybe Scream 3. I don't like, but again, we're talking like a day here, a day there. Scream 2 is only a couple of short, snappy days. Scream 4 is like 2 days, maybe 3. It's pretty quick. And she nails it. Like, why would I do that? And then proceeds to go and make some terrible life choices with date rape Freddy.
Frankie.
Frankie. Which gives us one of the first truly funny and great moments with, from all people, Sam, which I never picked, where she goes up and she's like, "Excuse me, I'm just going to tase you in the balls a little bit now," and it tases the guy in the balls. I was like, that's fucking great. This is fun. I'm having so much fun.
What do you think about the fact that Chad became kind of the love interest?
Love it.
Yeah,
Great.
I thought that was a really good choice and made
Yeah.
sense to me. They didn't have to be together in the first one, but they sort of obviously grow to have obviously relationship. They've known each other forever.
Yeah, and they're
They obviously care
survivors
for
of
each
a
other.
horrible event. Of course, they are going to lean to each other. Who the hell else can you trust?
Yeah, true.
Like, who can you? I'm amazed that Sam was boning anyone, because she was the one whose boyfriend turned out to be the killer. But people have needs. Which again, the boyfriend, I think, nails, where he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I won't let anyone in your terrible secret that you like physical contact from another human being." Like, they're really honest and open in this movie about the silly things that these movies can have.
Yeah.
I cringed a little when she was staring through the window like the hot shirtless neighbor, and I was like, "Oh man, are they just gonna make her like have this weird thing with this guy that she never talks to?" And then no, it turns out she's boning him the whole time, and I was like, "Oh, good, we immediately dispelled that." That's brilliant.
Yeah, but that, I guess, that leads me into going off that tangent of maybe slight issues with the script. Again, not sure whether they were there roughly all the time or whether they were part of the rewrites and the fact that they had a pretty tight timeline to film this movie. But I did have another conversation with a couple of other Scream fans, and while they loved it too, they did think there was some scenes or some moments that kind of, when you really analyze it in the world of the movie, don't make a lot of sense. But it's just to try and, as for the audience, to throw out a red herring or a misdirect, so we don't pick up, oh well, Quinn is one of the killers or whatever. Like, there's stuff that's there for more so the audience, not the characters in the movie, and it doesn't kind of really make sense. And you spoke about that, like Danny, the cute boy from across the way, like him seeing the killer through the window and banging on it. What was that whole theatrics about? Because he's trying to call Sam, but then what's Ghostface trying? Like, it doesn't. I don't know. I have issues with it, and like I said, I won't name the person because I probably don't want to be named. But the person I was speaking to had brought up the same thing. It's like, what was the theatrics all about there? Because one of the inherent problems with that is that even though Danny could look a little bit sus, and we want to have him as a red herring, you do take away a lot of his red herringness by him being concerned and go, "Oh my God, the killer's in that room." And you go, well, he could be one of the killers, but I don't think so much now, because like, who's that act for? What's all that concern for?
Why is he banging on the window trying to alert everyone if he's in on it? Look, that whole scene, I have problems with, by and large. So I'll say, and this is not like, I'm not trying to say this so I can be like, fucking nailed it, mate, toot my own horn. But I picked about 20 minutes in 2 of the 3 killers. I picked Quinn and I picked Detective Bailey as the killers. And I was pretty sure it was Detective Bailey. And if it was him, I was pretty sure it was going to be his daughter. And then when they fake killed Quinn, that solidified it for me. And that's because that whole scene doesn't track at all, because we see very, very clearly how many locks are on the door of that apartment. We are shown specifically there's like 6 locks. We see her unlock them, go in, and we see her relock them. And we know that when Tara gets locked out of the apartment, is it Tara and Chad?
Tara and Chad, yeah.
Tara and Chad get locked out and they can't get back in. That, the locks are a big problem in this film. So when we see Quinn being killed by Ghostface inside the apartment, the immediate thing is like, well, how the fuck did he get in the apartment? Like, you need 6 keys to get in this apartment. The only way he could get in is if someone gave him the keys. The core 4 did not give him the keys, because this movie is not going that direction at all. In fact, the only time in this movie that I felt insulted was in the final reveal, just before you find out that Quinn is one of the 3 killers, and they go, "Oh no, Mindy, like We're meant to believe for a second it could be her. We just saw her get stabbed to shit for one, but also nothing in the movie suggests there's any chance it could be Mindy. It's like, we're not stupid. Please don't do that. But when they fake killed Quinn, I was like, well, it's very obviously she's not dead because you don't see her die. You just see her, bloodied body being thrown through the door. And then you don't see the body in a body bag being taken out of the apartment. And that's always a big rule in horror films. Like, if you don't see them properly dead, they're not dead. No one is dead until they're properly dead in these movies, which is how Dewey comes back, 3 out of 4 times. It's how Chad came back 2 out of 2 times. If you don't see them take their last breath or get their head smashed by a log or see them being wheeled out of the room in a body bag, they ain't fucking dead. It's the rule. They didn't show us Quinn getting taken out of the body bag. We saw Annika in the body bag. That's it. We saw the boy that Quinn was rooting properly dead in the bathtub. We didn't see Quinn properly dead. We saw her get thrown through the door, and then we never see her again in that scene. So that's a big giveaway in these kind of movies, even if you're only like tangentially paying attention. But also no one questions it. And that was when I got really annoyed. Like, at no point in all their paranoia did they go, how did he get in? Or when Sam's license shows up next to the first dead body, do they go, well, hey, my license is in my wallet. The only time I take my wallet out of my bag is when my apartment. The only 2 people in my apartment are my sister, who definitely didn't do it, and this girl Quinn, who we found through an ad. So you do start to think, how paranoid are you, Sam? Because you seem so terrified that everyone is the killer until 2 really obvious things happen that mean that the killer is someone who has access to your wallet.
Well, even the not all the
and
knives,
you say nothing.
Yeah. Well, even all the knives from the knife block are gone, and you're like, well, who would have done that? Someone that has
you were
access.
just in the kitchen. The Ghostface couldn't have come. You were sitting in the dining room, which is next to the kitchen. You can see the kitchen from where you're sitting. There's no way that happened. Right.
Okay, so this is the other issue I had with that whole scene and that whole setup. So, who sent the photo to Sam's phone of her being almost butchered, Quinn? Was that Danny or not? Because it's very quick blink and you miss it. But the first time I saw it, I don't know, honestly. Well, the first time I saw it, I felt like Danny's tried to call and they're all laughing, oh, the little boy call. And then she's, I'll speak to him later. And she declines the call. Then, obviously, there's a text message. But my interpretation, even after the second viewing, was they all kind of get the phone call or they all look at their phones. But having said that, it could have been just Sam's phone going off and they've all checked their phones. But it looked, at least to me, like everyone got a message. And then we just see Sam put hers up and we see the photo of Quinn getting, stabbed or at least attacked. And then I'm like, oh shit, the killers have sent that to her. And then they hear the banging and they all obviously get up and react to that. Now, I'm going to have to see it a third time to really get my head around it because it kind of does make sense. Like, who took that photo? Because it does look like Danny's POV that he would send that photo and say, Sam, look at this. Something's happening in Quinn's room. But again, it just, I don't know, it just didn't translate very well, I think, on screen because it did feel like all of them got that message, but then Danny wouldn't have all their numbers. I don't know. It was just a bit ambiguous but like I said, it just, that whole...
He definitely wouldn't have everyone's numbers because it's only been like 2 hours since they found out that his name was Danny and that he's rooting Tara's sister.
Exactly.
Like, it's... but also, like, things start to derail a little bit with that scene as well because you think, well, clearly, like, this scene is happening. They have a grand plan for what they want to do to Sam. They want to make it look like she flipped out and killed everyone and she's the guilty one. And so they don't want to kill her straight away. But if you have access to the apartment where they're all just hanging out, like, why wouldn't you go in and just really easily kill Chad and Mindy and Tara and Annika? Why would you have this big theatrical thing where you fake kill Quinn and then have to try and get to Annika and Tara and Mindy when they're locked in the room and make your life really difficult? Also, they lock one door and then they go to the other door and they put a chest of drawers in front of it. But we already know that whoever Ghostface is, before we find out, they have all the keys. Why don't they just go back around to the first door and unlock it? They just keep banging against it and against it and against it and against it until they get through it. Look, some of this is, I think, like a bit of a big problem. Some of this is nitpicky stuff.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that part of it gets excused if you follow a certain line of thinking, which you can choose to follow and have less problems with the movie, and that's up to the audience. But there is a line of thinking where you can follow once you find out the reveal that it's Detective Bailey and his two kids, which are is Ethan? I don't remember this fucking kid's name because he's barely in the movie.
Yeah, Ethan.
Yeah, Ethan and Quinn. And the line of thinking you can follow is Detective Bailey does very little to hide the fact that he's fucking insane. Like he's not just a killer and he's not just out for revenge. Like he's unhinged. He's probably the most psychotic of the Ghostface since Jill, I would say. But he doesn't even have like a master plan he's trying to orchestrate like her. Like he's just pure crazy, which I thought was really fun, having a fully deranged Ghostface who just is totally detached from reality now. And if you follow the line of thinking, well, he's the one in charge, he's the one orchestrating all this stuff, you don't have to find as much logic in the things that Ghostface does. And the scene that I use to counterbalance the fake Quinn death is the truly excellent bodega scene. Yeah. Where they run into the bodega and Ghostface just goes in. Like Ghostface doesn't do that. He hides in the shadows. This guy just walks into a fucking shop. And when someone is like, you got a problem? He just stabs him in the gut and then stabs the next person. And then some guy tries to shoot him with a shotgun and he gets that shotgun and he blows that fucking guy's head off. And then he just walks around the bodega just shooting fucking shotgun off because he's nuts. He's totally nuts. And he's strong and he knows how to use guns and he doesn't give a fuck. So if you follow the idea that this Ghostface, namely Detective Bailey, I'll call him Ghostface 1 because the other two, I think, don't do much killing in this movie. But if you think that Ghostface...
No, see, that's why I disagree. I think Quinn, the smart thing about the Quinn killing is it throws her off as a suspect, but it means them thinking she's dead. She can wander around being Ghostface while Bailey and Ethan have to be accounted for. True. So she's obviously the one that goes to Gail's apartment because Ethan and Bailey are there in the park. And I think, yeah.
Is Ethan there? See, this is...
no, Ethan's in the truck with Kirby and Mindy.
Oh, yeah, eating the chips. Yeah, we'll put a pin in Ethan because I got shit to say about this kid. But finish what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do like, don't get me wrong. I was pretty dumb. I like to think I'm pretty cluey in picking up on the clues on some of the killers. I don't know why I agree with you. You guessed Quinn straight away. I don't know why. That maybe just threw me and I just didn't. I was still suspecting maybe Sam's a little bit mental or something as well, but I was too slow to pick up on that. Like I should have known, oh my God, Quinn's one of them. Especially, I mean, she had that throwaway line about, oh yeah, my brother died last year in a car accident. Like there was telltale signs. I should have, because I was suspicious of Bailey the whole time as well. And going into the movie, you see the movie posters, and he kind of looks like he'd be a killer. He's a cop with perfect cover. He can get away with certain things. But yeah, the bodega scene is really good too. I love it. It's sad that, again, that's one of those things that got shown a lot in the trailer.
Yeah, it did. Like, it got spoiled because, man.
Well, I just think a lot of it.
And that, cool.
Yeah, but having said all that, like, even that, I was like, it's a surprise, it's a shock, it's a cool scene. But if the killer really wants to have the final act be Tara and Sam to be killed, why are you chasing and trying to kill him in a bodega?
Well, does he want the final act to be Tara and Sam, or does he just want it to be Sam?
Well, I
feel like Tara's expendable in his eyes in this.
Yeah, possibly. But I think, and look, don't get me wrong, that's one of the issues probably with the other Scream movies where Sydney seems to be the one they want to get their last sort of kill on, but they still attack her early in all those sort of films pretty much. But yeah, it's I think that's not the only scene that sort of kind of has a weird play out. I think Mindy on the subway.
That is one is one. That's look. I was wondering when we were going to talk about that because that is the one where I think one of the things that makes. Again, there's the Wes Craven screams, there's every other scream. I think that one of the things that make the Wes Craven screams so smart is you always have your red herrings. You always have like your jump scares and you always have your brutal, surprising kills. And when it's all revealed at the end and you go back and you watch the film 1,000 times as we have done, it holds together. And you go back and you're like, oh shit, yeah, like that's how they did that. That's who killed that one. That's who did that. That's how they tricked them there. That's how they got there. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, cool. We find out that Ethan is a Ghostface. Ethan is there on the train with Mindy. Mindy gets stabbed to shit by a Ghostface. Ethan helps Mindy off the train and gets her help so she doesn't bleed to death and die. Ethan in the final act talks about how I have to go back to the hospital and finish off Mindy now. Motherfucker, you could have just left her there. No one thought she was bleeding. Everyone thought it was a Halloween thing. The only reason that Mindy gets any attention, any help, is because he's like, oh my God, someone help. If he just had have gone or just like not seen it, you know, if that had have been the way they covered it, and then she was just there, everyone would have just been like, yeah, she's bleeding to death. But having him help her isn't a fake out. It's not a way to conceal the fact that he's a killer. It's a derailing of the logic of the film. Like your dad doesn't go and stab, or your sister doesn't go and stab the shit out of Mindy so you can save her. That doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
And it doesn't do anything. It's not like that's part of a plan to lure Chad out of hiding or something. Like if they had have had a subplot where Chad was like, I'm fucking out, or Sam was like, I'm going into hiding, and the only way they can get out of hiding is if one of the core four is in mortal danger. And Ethan's like, oh my God, Mindy got stabbed to death on the train. Like, I barely saved her. She's in hospital. Guys, I think she might not make it. And then one of them goes to the hospital to see her, and a Ghostface pops out of the cupboard and stabs them. Yeah, okay, perfect sense. That makes, for a screen film, great logic. For him to save her and then be like, oh, I've got to go kill her later. It's like, you could have just left her. You could have just left her on that subway and she'd be dead now.
100%. And that's another one. Again, it's almost his theatrics for the audience to throw us off on Ethan. Going, oh, no, he's a nice guy. Mindy thinks he's sus, but now he's going to save her. And then, oh, no. 10 minutes later, yeah, he's one of the killers. And you go, well, then why is... And then, like you said, I can't remember if it was Bailey said or Ethan says it, like, oh, we're going to tie up the loose ends of Gail and Mindy. And you're like, so you had that opportunity to let her bleed out, or at least make sure she was dead, or put another knife straight into her, and us as the audience don't see that. But now you got to do more dirty work which would be even more complicated if she's in hospital, to kill her off. But we know in horror movies that hospitals are pretty empty these days, and you can walk in wherever you want. And
you get a whole floor to yourself, apparently.
But yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's good in the lead up, when, especially if Ethan wasn't a killer. But once he's revealed as a killer, you go, well, it makes no sense. I was also going to say, with that scene, which infuriated me to a point, was I love the tension. I love all the lead up. Obviously, it's a little bit more extended and in length. But again, if you've seen any of the TV spots or trailers, we know she gets stabbed.
Yeah.
And in my mind, when they showed us that in one of the first trailers, I'm like, well, that must be a fake out scene that we're seeing, or she's having a PTSD dream nightmare where she's getting stabbed, and that'll be explained, because they would never show us something like that. And okay, yes, she survives, but I'm like, really? Why do you have to show us that much? Because I think a lot of that great tension they build up in the film is all undone if you've seen trailers.
But beyond that, like, the subway scene is it irks me, because in addition to not holding up under any kind of logic, it is the first time that I can think of in a Scream film that something has been done to trick the audience instead of tricking the characters. Like, that's something that's really fun about Scream movies, is the movie is never trying to trick you. It's trying to trick the characters in the movie, so the characters in the movies don't know who the killer is. But Ethan rescuing Mindy is just to trick the audience, which makes, like, as we've discussed, no sense. What I also got a bit irked about with the subway scene is it's clearly such a contrived set piece that is just there to have a lot of horror characters in costume, because it's Halloween, there's people in the subway, because the scene is so long with nothing happening. Truly, like, it is so many shots of the characters standing around looking nervous as the audience spots, oh my God, there's Michael Myers. Oh my God, there's the characters from Us. Oh, there's Pinhead. Oh, there's Babadook. Oh, there's the character that Samara Weaving played in Ready or Not. Oh, it is a scene that's just there for the audience to, like, say how many horror characters they can pick in a 5-minute spot. And at the end, a character gets stabbed, and it's a character that you expect to get stabbed because she's the one who gets isolated up from the group, and she separates herself from the only person that she's there with. And then you see Ghostface very slowly come towards her and then stab. Like, you say, like, there's some tension in it, but the tension is kind of evaporated once you're like, oh, well, there's no way that Danny and Tara and Sam and Chad are getting stabbed, because they're all together in that tight group. They're fine. If they get stabbed, that would be a real shock, because I'm really not expecting that. Like if one of them just kind of, if they went through like a black spot and you didn't see a ghost face, you just heard like a ugh, and you saw like a Steve Orth kind of look down and someone's holding their intestines because Ghostface has run past and gutted them in the dark. Scary, unexpected, fucking terrifying to think you just be standing on a train and then out of nowhere you're gutted. If you're being hunted by someone who wears a ghost face mask and you see someone in a ghost face mask very slowly coming towards you and you don't move, that's less scary and more kind of like, here it comes. She's getting stabbed now. And then she gets stabbed and you're like, that's what we saw was going to happen. I also have a bit of a bugbear with that scene. And I know this is ridiculous thing to get frustrated about, but you are a serial killer who is trying to hunt and kill people, and you don't want to get caught, and you are hunting and killing people on Halloween, and lots of people are wearing costumes. You don't have to wear a ghost face costume. You could dress up as literally anything, and not only would you not be suspicious, you wouldn't be suspicious to the group of people you're actively trying to kill. Like, they're looking for a ghost face. They're not looking for a Jason Voorhees. I think it would have been amazing if there was a ghost face or a couple of ghost face they were looking at, and there's a Jason Voorhees next to them. And then Jason Voorhees pulls out a knife and just fucking stabs them. And they're like, oh my God, yeah, of course. He's not actually Ghostface. That's not his real face. He's a guy in a mask. You can wear any mask.
Yep.
Like, if you're going to have that many masks and horror characters on a train, why not subvert our expectations and surprise us by having it not be Ghostface who stabs them?
I hadn't even thought about that, but that'd be cool if the fake out was Ghostface comes really close to her and she flinches or she whatever, and he keeps walking past and then she cops a machete across the guts from Jason Voorhees or something like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, like there's so many masks there. I know they would have to go through a lot of licensing. Like, I'm sure getting the licensing rights to have those characters on screen was tough. I'm sure there are rules about you can't have Michael Myers kill someone in your movie. But I also sure that, like, if you had the conversation and you know, laid down some $, you could maybe not Michael Myers, but someone in even just a fucking generic mask. Even you know what? Be great. Have the fucking Babadook stab Tara. Like after her big rant in the opening of Scream 5. And then her dumb throwback joke at the end of Scream 5. What a funny little thing for her to be standing there and she could see the Babadook, and then suddenly the Babadook just fucking jams one into her arm. Like, just things like that. I was like, that feels like where things got rushed, where they had the idea and had they had like 6 months to do a bunch more passes and like, hey, you know what, guys? We've got all these horror movie characters on the train. What if Ghostface doesn't stab one of them? Like, wouldn't that be a twist? And I also think it would be hilarious if you had someone in a costume that wasn't Ghostface stab them and then like do the mask reveal, and under the mask is the Ghostface mask. And you're like, oh shit. Like, that'd be fun and dumb and just a nice way to do things differently, because yes, this movie was in New York, but they didn't really do things differently. But apart from the bodega scene, which I've never seen Ghostface with a fucking sawn-off shotgun before. But that is part of a larger issue that I have with this movie, which we can talk about other stuff, but it is something that I'm building towards talking about, because there was a couple of things that really just let me down in Scream 6.
Far away.
So the larger thing that I'm building towards with my not even really like complaints, because like I said at the start, I enjoyed this movie. I had fun with this movie, but it's something that irked me in this movie. It's a two-pronged thing. One is, so we have the subway scene, which, as I discussed, has its flaws in it in terms of, you know, making sense. But what that opens you up to is to the larger idea that this movie was sold to us as Ghostface Takes Manhattan. You know, this is New York, new rules. That's the poster. This is Scream in New York. That's what we were being fed. All the posters were Ghostface in New York. This is Scream, but it's in the Big Apple. It's, you know, I think in the trailer there's the line, "There's never been a Ghostface like me," which I don't think is said in the movie at all.
Yeah.
But they really
I don't think
hammer
it
the
is.
fact like this is a
Yeah.
New York movie. This is New York Scream, and then they do absolutely nothing with the setting. To be honest,
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. That was one of my takeaways. It was kind of like it was cool to feel like we're in a big city, but at the end of the day, I didn't.
it never felt like we're in New York, which
No, yeah,
also is worth noting. We weren't. We're in Montreal, standing in for New York, and you can tell. um,
yeah.
but
See,
it,
I'm not. I've never been to New York, but obviously they show us those scenic, aerial views to make us feel like we're in New York. They're definitely not in any big major streets, and like I said, they've got some
no,
scenery that looks like it. But online, I did notice a few Canadian people that went and saw it, and one of my friends who lives in Montreal, is like, if you've been to Montreal, you just know that it's like it doesn't double for New York. It kind of gives the same feel, but if you know it, it's not. The illusion is totally ruined because I know that
well,
street. I know that street. You can just tell it's like there's something very French Canada about it that I mean I didn't pick up on.
everyone was just too polite.
Yeah,
um,
but you're right. I think because we don't go to any of the major New York sites either. Like
there's
that's the
no
other thing.
Statue of Liberty in this movie. There's no Staten Island Ferry. There's no Central Park. There's not even Battery Park. Like it's not. There's nothing inherently New York about this
Mm.
movie. In fact, in the opening, which we haven't talked about yet, but which we'll talk about because it's very cool, when Samara Weaving is walking down the alleyway. When we saw this movie, I was sitting next to Bros from Chatflix. He came with us, and as she walked down the alleyway, he just leaned over and whispered to me and went, "There's no alleyways in Manhattan," and he's right. There's not any alleyways in Manhattan, so it does kind of take you out of that immediately. Like there is a very New York thing where all the dumpsters and stuff are on the street because there are no alleyways to hide that crap down. Any alleyways are tiny little laneways you go through, with the odd exception of like in New York City proper, there is a few alleyways, but they are in like the busy part of New York. So you wouldn't have like a slightly quieter section, which it appears that's where they are in the start. But they also, even if they did shoot this film in New York, apart from the subway scene and I guess the bodega, which is kind of a New York thing, but really a bodega is just a corner store,
Yeah.
which they've got in every city. They don't do anything with the big city setting. In fact, what they do is the opposite, which is the second prong of my problem with this. And they just kind of redo Scream 2.
Yes.
Like, this is a movie about a bunch of the characters from the first movie who moved to a new city to go to college. This is a college movie, which was very carefully hidden in all the trailers. They did not want people knowing this is a college movie when they started, but it's a college movie. And it's about characters who are going to frat parties. And, when they're trying to figure out who the killer is, Ethan is like, I had econ. I was at an econ lecture. Like, they're students who are going to university. And that's what the movie is. And then you're like, well, that's Scream 2. And then the final act of the movie takes place in a theater. And you go, well, that's Scream 2. And then the reveal is one of the killers is the parent of the killer from the last movie that the heroine killed. And you go, well, that's fucking Scream 2. This movie is just Scream 2, just in a different location. But it's a college movie with a theater setting showdown and a parent of a dead killer blaming the heroine for killing their beloved son, who's a good boy. They were just misunderstood. And I'm like, oh dear. Did you guys not realize? Or were you trying to do it as a nod wink and thought we would be like, Scream 2? Because for all of the promise that they offered, which was like they did it in the last movie as well. In the last movie, it was new decade, new rules. And then this one, it's New York, new rules. And they keep trying to tell us this is new and it's different. You won't see it coming. And then they just remake a lot of the previous movie. Like, obviously, Scream 5, the showdown was in Stu Marker's house, and it was the showdown from Scream 1. This one, the showdown's... Now, obviously, they tweak it a bit better in this one. One of the things, which sounds like not a big tweak, but I kind of think it's not a theater that does live performances. It's an abandoned movie theater. And I did think it was quite nice that a Scream movie that is so much about the movies and the stab movies, obviously, had a setting like a showdown in the cinema. The last time we had a showdown in cinema, ironically, was Scream 2, because this is a fucking Scream 2 remake. But it was nice to see a showdown in a cinema. I do think that Detective Bailey, despite the fact being another grieving parent who is seeking vengeance, definitely is a unique and a new type of killer. Like I already said, they're very deranged, and I love how just flat out crazy they are. Like, yeah, this is about revenge, but you also get the feeling like that's just kind of the jumping off point for him. Like, him and his kids felt like, out of all the new characters, more than any new character, in fact, it felt like Wes Craven characters, but not Scream Wes Craven characters, like Hills Have Eyes Wes Craven characters. Like, they felt like the weird psycho family who is going to just murder you and eat you because that's what they do. You don't even need a reason. And I think that had Richie, gotten away with it or not decided to kill a bunch of people, Detective Bailey and the other kids probably would have gone and killed a bunch of people eventually, because it seems like it's just in their nature. They're pretty fucked up. But that's not enough for me to kind of go, oh, wow, like that was a bit like Scream 2, but who cares? I was kind of like, are we really, like, is there another twist coming, or are we really doing Scream 2 when we've already done so much of Scream 2?
Well, even you could also argue Tara and Chad sort of hooking up. While they didn't hook up in the first movie, even they sort of hook up and they realize they like each other. They've ignited this thing, and then he gets stabbed and she sees it, and we think he's dead, and then he survives. That's very Scream 2.
Dewey. It's Galen Dewey.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
absolutely.
Wow, there's a lot of mirror image. I agree with you. And look,
Mindy is Randy. So the fact that Mindy survived is a slight change from Scream 2,
yes.
But that's your core four from the original. Is Sydney is Tara, Sam is Gale, Chad is Dewey, and Mindy is Randy. And they're copying exactly the trajectory.
Look, we don't want this to be a negative rant on Radio Silence and what they put out either. Because, like we said, we had fun. We're just here to analyze.
Good movie.
But I would agree with you in that I did feel like they were going to be a bit more adventurous with this one, and they kind of hinted at that, like you said, like, okay, we did the homage to Wes last time, but this time this is our own Scream, this is a new Ghostface, and there was all this sort of promise, but I don't think there was much variation from the standard formula. It's a very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect.
But quite literally, like, to the point where, as I said, they had that line, like, there's never been a Ghostface like me. There's quite literally been a Ghostface exactly like you. In fact, of all the Ghostface, there's only really been two Ghostface that have been like other Ghostface, and that's Richie, and that's Richie's dad, who have been exactly like Billy and Billy's mum. So yeah, like,
there wasn't much of it. I think maybe that was what they hinted at. There was three of them involved. In the end, it was a family of Ghostface, and then you could argue, obviously, the twist was at the start. We find out that Jason's a Ghostface, and Greg was going to, or at least they were going to be Ghostfaces, and they wanted to kill Tara and Sam. So there's that variation. But yeah, at the very core, there wasn't much different to every other Scream movie. That there was, everyone's in a Ghostface mask. The only cool thing that I thought was different and original was when he launches at Gale, like he like full on jumps on the couch and just like flies for a second or two. Like, that's cool.
You hear the sound of like flying.
Yeah, and it's like he's almost like Batman. It's like Jesus, so like that was cool.
Which I think you pointed out to me off mic had to be Quinn. Isn't
it?
Because Bailey is in the park and Ethan's in the van.
Yes, correct.
So that in order for that timeline to work, that's big. Which, like, hats off to Quinn. Like, she's crazier than I thought, because that is a really like brutal scene. So if that's Quinn Ghostface,
she got that big. And that guy had big muscles too. But
yeah. Well, that's also, now you've got the Amber problem, where it's like, how did you fucking take that guy down?
Well, I mean, the element of surprise is there. I think momentarily, if you got him, but you'd have to almost slash his throat almost straight away. You couldn't wrestle with him. You would have to be quick, grab, drag, slit, and be done with him. But then she's got to bring him.
With what I said before,
and she's got to bring him around and then throw him through the glass too. Yeah,
but it does tie into what I was saying before. Like, if you want to go down the line that excuses a lot of the the what the fuck's in this movie. Detective Bailey, like I said, is fully crazy, but also he's a fully crazy, fully trained veteran police officer who knows a lot about, self-defense, about disarming people, about using weapons effectively to be quick and efficient with taking down, the person you're opposing. And I have no doubt he would have trained his kids very, very carefully and thoroughly for a long time, not like just since Richie died. Like I said, I think this is inherent in their nature that they are fucking crazy. And I think
you're right. I mean, if
he would
he's
have trained his kids to be fine.
If Dad was a police officer, like you'd sort of think with some of those things about safety and all that, they would have been trained. That's why Richie would have had been so super trained as Ghostface.
It actually makes Richie make more sense retrospectively when you're like, oh, your dad was like an insane man who was also a police officer who had lots of training.
Who also probably let you watch stab movies from the age of 5.
Yeah. And probably talk to you about how you could really do that to a person. It's like, that movie's crazy, son. If you're really going to gut someone, what you'd have to do is this. Let me show you. I think it's interesting because, like, you can't help but compare them to Mrs. Loomis and Billy, but, Mrs. Loomis left and that made Billy crazy. I think probably part of what made Richie crazy is Detective Bailey stayed. And I think he probably like fed a lot of Richie's craziness. And as we find out, he bought him, all the memorabilia, and he bought him the shrine, and he really, let him have a lot of that. Something that, look, I don't want to harp on this, but
are you going to talk about the shrine?
I'm going to talk about the shrine. I'm going to talk about money. This movie's set in New York, and somehow Tara and Sam and Quinn have the biggest fucking 3-bedroom apartment in all of New York, when 2 of them are students and the third is working 2 shitty jobs to try and make any money. It's impossible for them to be able to afford that apartment. It's kind of crazy that Jason and, is it Greg? Is that his name?
Yeah, Greg.
Have that huge apartment, but then we find out that like their families are rich. So I can kind of excuse that. But Tara tells us flat out, like, her mum cut her off. And we know her dad's dead because her dad's fucking Billy Loomis. So they're not getting any money from their parents. There's no way they're affording that apartment. Also, Detective Bailey is a cop who, despite being on the force for a long time, everything I've ever seen about New York cops from TV and movies,
they don't get
paid shit. So he can barely afford to live, let alone buy a fucking abandoned cinema and then go and buy all this evidence of other cops and buy all this other movie member. Like, where is the money? Is Screen 7 going to be Richie's mum? And it turns out that she's super rich, and that'll explain everything. Like, the money really took me out of it. So it's like, how do these people live in this giant apartment in New York that's just not, that's, and I know, it's a horror movie with a guy in a ghost mask stabbing people. Suspend your disbelief, but there are limits, man. But the shrine, let's talk about the shrine.
The shrine was awesome. But I agree with you. I know this was a conversation once they released it. I don't even know if we had it on a podcast, but once they started releasing the footage and the stills of the shrine, I know there was conversations, at least me and Michelle had conversations like, surely that can't be the real stuff. Like, that just doesn't add up to me. Or maybe it's just a super fan that it's gone and done a cosplay and like, oh, well, I'll get the replica shirt and make it look like it's Billy's shirt and all that. And then, but no, we find out it's evidence. I think they do explain it well enough that I go, you know what? Actually, some of that is probably like, evidence does go missing. People are corrupt enough. They're offered enough money. They'll just, we'll go get Stephen Orff's jacket from, down in the vault or whatever. I can understand it. I just think the expansiveness of the collection is probably a little bit too hard to believe. Like, I just feel like, especially when Dewey was in Woodsboro and even Judy Hicks, I'm not sure
that's the big one for me.
I'm just not sure Woodsboro's letting that stuff ever get out. I guess if there was someone on the tape that had access to it, and it's not like Dewey and that would be checking on it every day to make sure it was still there. But I find that to me, that's a stretch.
I feel like Dewey would have the Billy Loomis Stu Marker evidence and the Jill and Charlie evidence under lock and key in a separate private special vault.
And we already know this from Scream 3 that there was a call from a producer for the file on Sydney, and the room got ransacked, but Dewey had already removed it for safety. I don't know. Look, it was a cool scene. It looked really cool. It was paid homage, obviously, to all the films. But I did feel like it was a massive stretch to have
Hmm.
when
Also, like
so
you've
much.
got to get it from four different,
Yeah,
no, three different things.
yeah,
You got to get it from Woods. Well, you got to get three sets of evidence from Woodsboro now.
yeah,
You've got to get evidence from Los Angeles, and you've
yeah,
got to get evidence from Windsor College. Like
yeah.
that's hard. Like I get
That's a
if all of
few.
the evidence in New York, he could be like, "Hey guys, come on, my kid's a big fan. Let me give you $200. You give me the mask. What's the problem?" They're like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever, Bailey. We love you." But yeah,
yeah.
you can't just roll into Woodsboro and be like, "Excuse me, Deputy Dewey, if I give you $500, will you give me Billy Loomis's knife?" Because he'd be like, "You're under the fuck arrest because I know you're definitely going to be a Ghostface because I'm
Mm,
paranoid about that because I've lived through it so many times."
mm. Yeah, I agree.
Um,
I think that's probably on top of all of it. I think that's probably the biggest stretch is the knives. I felt like there was a lot of knives in there, and it felt like there was a knife for every killer. I'm kind of like, I'm pretty sure they're not letting that shit out. Like, well, at least in Australia, that would be classified as a prohibited weapon. I don't think they're letting that out of evidence. I think I can
no,
understand some miscellaneous clothing on dead victims, maybe, but
yeah,
I
like
think
you could get Casey Becker's top if you really had enough money. People are like, yeah, whatever. But you aren't getting the killer's mask and the killer's knives
and their
unless you're
robes and
breaking in and
stuff.
stealing shit. And he's not like again, I'm going off movies and televisions, but what I understand in movies and television is just because you're a cop in one city doesn't mean that everyone loves you in
Mm.
another. We see that at the start of Die Hard 2. Doesn't mean shit in a different state, bro. If you're a New
I
York
can
cop
I
trying to
can vouch for it. Does not same here
yeah,
in
like
Australia. It's
New York
different.
cops help out New York cops. They don't help out fucking Woodsboro cops and vice versa.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think again, like I know we're talking about the sixth entry into a slasher franchise and you can't dig too deep, but it's just a little bit of a disappointment when again, like the Wes Craven ones, like I said, they're pretty solid with the internal logic. You can pull
Mm.
a thread here or there, maybe if you want to, but ultimately, like these movies hold up under scrutiny because they know that the movie has to work even when you know the secret. You know,
Mm.
if you find out the secret and go, well, there's no fucking way that Jill and Charlie could have killed half the people in this movie because you showed us specifically they couldn't. So what the fuck, man?
Mm.
Um, but Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson and sometimes Aaron Kruger like worked to be like, let's triple check our work here and make sure that when we go back, can we cover our bases? Can we explain everything? And also, is everything that happens in this movie happen to affect a character in the movie, not to affect the audience?
Yep.
And there's definitely stuff in this one that is like, oh, the audience will love this. It's like, yeah, it's great, but it doesn't mean anything to the character. So why is it happening? Like the characters
Mm.
don't know they're in a movie. They don't know there's a camera there. So why are they going through this just for us? That's not how good storytelling works. Um,
Well, I think
that's a few.
go continue.
I was gonna say that's a few gripes, but something we brushed over that we haven't talked about yet, which I think we should definitely talk about, is right back at the start, the opening of Scream 6,
Yes,
which, as we know as Scream fans, the opening of a Scream movie is very important.
it's a very simple formula.
It's one of the things that honestly like pissed off a lot of people about Scream 4 that I always thought was really fun and I always liked. And I was completely ignorant to the fact until like a year ago that people don't like the start of Scream 4. Blew my mind when I found that out. It's like, what are you talking about? It's really fucking great.
Yeah, and
But
I'm one of those people. No,
yeah,
no,
I know.
I loved it. I don't get me wrong. I always the first time I saw it, I enjoyed it. The second time, yes, but every time I watch it, I feel like I just want to get to the movie. For me, that's not the heart of the movie. This is the story of Sydney, Jill, and her friends. I think it almost becomes too long and too tongue in cheek ish for me. So yeah, look, I'm happy to put my hand up and say that's the one thing about Scream 4. Again, I love the shock factor the first time, but I think the novelty wears off after several watches of the movie. So I'm
And I do
happy
wonder
that
how that will go
yes with this one.
with Scream 6 because I really enjoyed the opening when it happened. It
Mm.
was nice to see Samara Weaving in this movie
Mm.
using her Australian accent. Thank you to every director who just lets Australians be Australians
Mm.
because you
But
know what? There's a lot of Australians in New York.
have you actually? I can't even remember the last time I've heard Samara do Australian because obviously she's in a lot of American productions where she's doing an American accent. So to be honest, I don't even know what she would sound like. speaking her natural tongue. But it was funny because as soon as I heard it, it did stand out. Obviously that she was speaking Australian, but then towards the end of some of the conversation, she almost sounded like she had this Aussie British accent. Was that what you were thinking?
I think it's something that happens to a lot of Australian actors when they're working overseas a bit. Is your accent just gets absolutely fucking ruined because you're never allowed to use it, so you wind up having a weird American lilt. Like Nicole Kidman, if she ever tries to sound Australian now, she can't help but hit her R's.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's the thing.
Oh yeah, I was over there the other day. It's like, what was that? Why did you do that? We don't say our
I feel like it was like she was speaking, getting into her Australian thing, but and then it was like halfway through, it was kind of like she was speaking very proper Queen's English Australian, which was a bit jarring. Instead of her being a little bit more ochre, it was more.
I wonder if there was a few takes where the
yeah.
director's like, "So you've had a few drinks, you're a bit drunk," and then the phone rings. She's like, "I get it, can't. How's it going?" And they're like, "Oh no, pull it back, Sam. Pull it back. Oh, sorry, was that too much? Sorry. Hello, who is it? Yeah, that's a bit better. Let's not go too Australian. There's Australian and then there's Australian, you know." But the opening is really fun because Samara Weaving is really fun to see her in a Scream movie. She's a really fun actor. Most people who love horror movies will know she starred in Ready or Not, which was Radio Silence's big breakout film, and the reason they wound up directing Scream 5 in the first place. So it is nice that they brought her on board.
Well, I was going to say because she was earmarked for 5. I don't know what character she was supposed to be in 5, but she was definitely supposed to be in it, and it clashed with. I don't know, either it was reshoots or she was caught on some other film, but she was supposed to be, and then their calendars didn't line up. So they obviously brought her back for this. But I do wonder what character she would have been in the first, in 5, whether she would have had a bigger role.
Like, who else could she be if not Liv? She wouldn't have been Amber. She wouldn't have been Mindy.
Oh, she would have been a good killer, though, wouldn't she? She could have been Amber. She's taller.
I mean,
but
I'd have less of a problem believing she killed Dewey, honestly. It's like, Samara Weaving looks like she...
I don't know. I don't know. You know, the initial gut feeling, I kind of think she might have been Sam in the first incarnation of this.
Hey,
but
then don't tease me, because that definitely would have been a better iteration of the Scream universe. I would have loved that. Should be a great Sam. But anyway, the opening kills were fun because we got Samara Weaving on the poster. We got told, "Hey, Samara Weaving from Ready or Not is in this movie." It's like, "Oh, cool, yeah, she's one of the new characters." We also got Tony Rivioli on the poster, and I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah, he's really fun. I like him. He's really good in the Spider-Man movies, and I really like him in Grand Budapest Hotel. Brilliant." And then we get something that we never got in a Scream movie before ever: is we get the opening kill, and then we don't get the credits. We don't get the slash and the Scream 6. We don't get anything. It just lingers too long. And then fucking Ghostface takes off his mask, and we get a Ghostface reveal before the credits. And I got really excited at that point because I was like, I don't think this is a fake out. Like, I don't think she's suddenly gonna, like, I don't know, someone from the other side of the dumpsters gonna be like, "God damn it, like somebody's in the shot." And she's like, "Shit." And they was shooting a movie or doing a photo shoot, or it was a sex game they were playing, and she's always wanted to pretend to be killed. I was like, I don't think they do. I think he really killed her, and I think he really is trying to be a Ghostface. And obviously he can't be the only Ghostface.
Well, I was going to say, before that was the reveal, he was one of those people. When I looked at the poster, I thought, he's going to be one of the killers.
Yeah, because he looks like, with that mustache, he's going to be a killer. And then he's walking back, and he bumps into Tara, and that's how we get introduced to Tara in this movie. Is the guy who just killed, the opening kill, knows her, and you're like, "Oh shit!" And then I got really excited. I was like, "Fuck! I think we're gonna know who one of the Ghostface is for a chunk of this movie." And I didn't know how they were going to do that or if it would work, but I was excited they were trying, because, like we talked about, fuck, that's something new. Like, we've never had a Scream movie where we flat out know who one of the killers is. And maybe that could lead to the thing we spoke about a lot on the Scream 5 podcast, is that maybe in this movie we would get a killer who we don't find out who they are at the end of this movie, which was my big hope for this one. Is like, you're making 7. Can we just, like, maybe that's why they announced that there was definitely a 7 before 6 came out, because one of the killers was going to get away. And so if we know who one of the killers at the start, we don't need the double reveal at the end. Maybe there's 3 killers, which obviously there was. So I was really, really into it. And then they just, like, the opening scene just kept going and going and going, and we didn't get the Scream 6 credits. I was like, what is happening? And he gets home, and then he gets the phone call. I was like, oh, okay, they're gonna kill a Ghostface before the credits of this movie. And honestly, like I really enjoyed the way they did that. Like it kind of took some of the sting out of it. As soon as he gets the phone, it was like, oh, that's what they're doing. Ghostface is not a real Ghostface. He's a pretend Ghostface. Kind of like, what they did with all the Batman at the start of Dark Knight.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not wearing hockey pads. Like I kind of wish Ghostface had said that when he stabbed Tony Rowley. But when he opens the fridge and sees a fully hacked up body in the fridge, I got properly pumped for this movie because I was like, oh, we're not just stabbing people anymore. We're Jason Voorhees. This is Jason.
Well,
like
it's funny you say
cutting
that too,
people up.
because that was one of the rules later on that Minnie says, like beheading, and Chad's like, what, beheading? And I'm like, well, they did cut Greg's head off. And,
Yeah, they cut him to pieces.
and put him in the thing. But then there was a joke later on about when, I don't know, one of the mannequin's heads comes off in the shrine. There's beheading, something like that. There's a bit of a throwaway joke.
Again, more fun.
But it's like, oh no, but there was beheading right at the start. Like he was chopped to bits. That was Texas Chainsaw Massacre shit. Or
Yeah,
Hostel,
and then
like that's
then Jason gets gutted. Like he sees his guts. Like it's a real brutal kill, and I got really excited for it. And then, unfortunately, in the third act, as I was watching it and quite enjoying the third act, but still being like, I already feel like I have some issues with this. It did immediately make me go, well, how did Detective Bailey know that those guys were going to be Ghostface and kill people?
Yeah.
Like he killed Greg before Jason killed I don't know Samara Weaving's character's name, but before he killed Samara Weaving, like he did that beforehand. And he then is also like, oh yeah, I put the name of the theater in those guys. Like, at what point did you find out that these guys were going to kill people, and how? Like, that is never explained.
I guess
like,
that
they came to me and said like, we know you're Richie's dad, and we want to avenge him, and I tricked them by thinking like. Yeah. I thought that maybe he was going to, again, do a Mrs. Loomis and be like, yeah, I found out these guys wanted to avenge Richie. And so, there's only an estimated, 37 active serial killers in America. And I found these two guys on a chat board talking about Richie's movie. So I knew I had to help them. But I also couldn't let them kill you. So I killed them. Like, there's none of that. There's no explanation. He's just like, yeah, we couldn't have that. Like,
I think that's probably my other nitpick, that it's never, I know, look, don't get me wrong, I hate a movie when they bog us down too much with over exposition, but I feel like there was a lot of unanswered stuff. And if it gets explained in 7 and makes perfect sense not to tell us all now, because it'll make better sense in 7 and set up the next killer or whatever, hats off to them. But I do feel like there's not really a good explanation of how they all are interconnected. And like you said, how does he know that these kids are emulating Richie and trying to finish Richie's work, which you should be proud of too, but they want to be able to be the ones that kills Tara and Sam, which is fine. But how do they know about this, and how do they all that stuff? I'm not too sure how they are supposed to know each other, apart from maybe Ethan being in their class, in that same film class, and they kind of say it in front of him. But then why, if they're being super smart and they're psycho themselves, why are they telling Ethan about it? Why does he know about it?
Well, even if they had done a throwaway line to show like how stupid those two Ghostface were, and like even it was something as dumb as Detective being like, and then those guys, they were going to be Ghostface. Can you believe the idiots making TikToks about how they were going to be Ghostface? Just something like really stupid, but we could like, oh, okay, these two guys were really dumb and posted on social media that they were going to be Ghostface. And obviously people found out about that, and that wasn't that hard. But they give us absolutely nothing. And it would have been so easy to give a throwaway line. Like, we don't have to respect Jason and Greg as great Ghostface. Obviously, they get one kill and then written out, so they're not going down in the history books as good Ghostface.
Well, I was going to say, do you think, because one of the explanations and the throwaways, or at least the throw everyone off the scent, Gail's the one that finds the theater, or the movie theater, and that was your first two killers, blah 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 blah, but then Bailey's like later on he says, I put in their names and rah rah, all that stuff. So he knows about it, and he kind of says, no, this is Richie's, and I helped him, blah blah blah. But then at least maybe it would have made some more sense to explain that Greg and Jason were more a part of it than was that we were as
Just
an
any,
audience led to
just
leave.
anything.
Because if they did come from money in Atlanta and had the money, you go, well, we kind of use them to help
Yeah.
finance this thing and made them
And
feel
then
part of
killed them
it. But it's
because
like
they
when
knew
they
too much.
but when they went rogue and they were going to do their own thing, we were kind of like, no, we're not going to let that happen. And I would have a better understanding. I think that would have been better if Richie knew them first, almost like they were, like Richie kind of tells them, like, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to make my own movie. And they're kind of almost like he's a bit like similar to Roman in the background of Billy and Stu's story. They would be the apprentices in the background of Richie's story, and then when Richie gets killed, like, oh my god, our mentor and hero has been killed. We have to step up now.
Well, I mean, they do have that throwaway
Yeah,
line where he says, like, we got to finish Richie's movie.
Yes, exactly.
But there's no connection that they actually have anything to do. Like, they were so close because what they do, if they link those guys even just the tiniest bit to the Bailey family and the Kirsch, again, I still haven't figured this out. If anyone can figure this out, please hit us up in the comments or DM us.
Yes.
Why is Richie's name Kirsch and everyone else in the family is Bailey? Because I get that Quinn and Ethan can have fake names, but Detective Bailey is an actual real cop in the New York Police Department whose name is Detective Bailey. Like, he can't lie about that all the time. They would know that's too big of a leap. Anyway, if there was just a tiniest link, it would be really cool because suddenly you have that thing that Kevin Williamson always kind of wanted to do with Scream 3 but couldn't do, in that you have a cult of Ghostface. And if Greg and Jason are a part of it and then get killed off because they're kind of like, loose lips, or they're, weak links, whatever you want to say, and Bailey wants to keep it in the family, that's really great because then you literally have 5 Ghostface in this movie who all directly link to one of the Ghostface in the previous movie. You're like, oh shit, this is becoming like a huge thing. And that opens the door so wide for 7, where it's like, well, okay, yeah, all the killers got killed again, but we know not all the killers got killed because we know from Scream 6 that there's a fucking cult of Ghostface out there, and this was just 5 of them. Like, how many more could there be? So I was really disappointed that they left that very obvious thing just hanging there. And they came so close to acknowledging it with that line, like, we've got to finish Richie's movie, and then Bailey like knows so much about Jason and Greg that just isn't explained. Why not just give us one more line of dialogue that makes it make sense? That was it. That is part of, I think, the issue that you get when you have a tight turnaround and you're trying to juggle so many things. Yeah, little things that have huge impacts can get.
Well, I was going to say when he's dying, Jason, he says, "Oh, but what about Richie's movie?" He goes, and then and the killer says, "Fuck the movies."
That was great.
It was great, but then it's kind of like, oh, well, you go, someone that doesn't care about the stab movies and it's more revenge. But then you're kind of like, oh no, but in the end, it is sort of about the stab movies and your son. Well, it is more about your son. It's not about the stab movies, but still. Then I'm like, later on in the movie, that's where it kind of gets the red herring status of someone that we haven't actually talked about that is a returnee, Kirby.
Kirby.
Yeah, is that she says when Bailey's talking about the movies, she goes, oh, don't worry, don't follow the movies, don't worry about the movies, don't disregard the movies, kind of thing. Because she's kind of, and that made me think, like, well, is she one of the killers? Because the fucking movies line is very similar. But I was going to say, before we go deep into Hayden Panettiere, that sounded a bit wrong, Town, but before we go to that, when you talk about the cult, what was very interesting for this Stu Marker's alive truthers out there that still want to peddle that rubbish, I think we've pretty much had him confirmed dead because we've
absolutely had him confirmed dead. And just to double down, they kill another Ghostface with the exact TV that killed him, just to show, like, if you throw a TV on someone's head, it fucking kills them.
And that's awesome. They're like, we're going to acknowledge that most of the fans reckon it's dumb that she would be alive, so we're going to confirm it. So they confirmed it on the whiteboard. At least had death 1996 under Stu's photo, and you go, oh, maybe didn't get a full shot, maybe, whatever. And then obviously there's a line with Minnie go, is he really dead though? And then obviously, like you said, then Kirby's the one that throws the TV on, and it pretty much goes, yeah, see, he was bleeding out. We were going to put a TV and make it, done. He's dead. Like, you would be dead in that situation. So thank God that's sort of sorted. But Kirby, like, were you surprised? So I was surprised. I was hearing rumors that again, she'd be just a like blink and you miss it kind of cameo, just to link the movies, or at least, especially with not having Nev there, that Hayden would be back to play Kirby and have a small role. But I think in the scheme of things, she had a decently sized role. She was part of the FBI now. There's a
I
little
mean,
bit of
I
banter with
think her
Gale.
role isn't as big if Nev Campbell's back.
Yep.
I'm glad her role was that big. I would have
Yep.
liked it to be even bigger, honestly.
Mm.
I am a bit I'm a bit bummed that she wasn't one of the killers, because I think that really, like, at the end of the day, Bailey, I like him as a Ghostface. I think he's good because he's just crazy. He's just a full crazy guy, and it kind of makes sense that he would indoctrinate his kids. But Quinn, like, she's fine as a killer, but we get to see her a little bit, and then she gets fake killed, so we don't know her that much. Ethan, you get no character development on this fucking guy. Like, I don't care if he's a Ghostface or if he's a pot plant. He doesn't mean anything to this movie. He just happens to be the third killer because they're like, yeah, this time there's 3 killers, and Bailey had 2 sons, and he's the other one. It's like, okay, I get it. But even at the end, when Bailey's like, there's a very special bond between a father and his firstborn son, like, it cuts to Ethan and he doesn't react at all. And it's like, oh, you're not even going to give us like a bit of a subplot here where in the final act, maybe he turns on his dad or his sister, or maybe he's not as committed to this because secretly he's been pissed off that his dad always loved Richie more. Like, no, nothing. Just he gets no character whatsoever. He's barely in the movie. So when he's revealed to be a Ghostface, it's like, well, you were barely in the movie, so I never really suspected you or didn't suspect you. Like, it could have just as easily been another customer in the bodega. And like, aha, I was the third customer in the bodega. He didn't kill me. Didn't you think that was weird? It's like, I never fucking saw you. I didn't know you were hiding behind the milk. So why would I expect you to be a killer? Like, who gives a shit if Ethan's a killer? We don't know anything about this guy. He's in like one scene where they're like, yeah, now you're top of my list. And he was like, but I had Econ. And then we're meant to be like, it was Ethan. Fuck off. No, like, who cares? So it would have been way more interesting to me personally if Gale or Kirby were a Ghostface in this movie, because they have a real good reason to be a Ghostface. Like, Kirby, like I've talked about before, she got attacked by her closest friends, turned out to be deranged serial killers who used the thing she loves most in the world to kill all her other friends and then kill her. Like she said, I was dead for 4 minutes. So yes, the counter side to that is she got really scared of monsters, so she wanted to be the thing monsters were scared of, and so she became a cop or a federal agent. But what is more interesting is if she wants to become the thing monsters are scared of by becoming the monster, and if she kills off everyone who like she wasn't around for 5 because it was over, there was no more Ghostface killings. But when they start again in 5, it makes you realize, oh shit, it's never going to end. And I'm so scared and so angry and I can't trust anyone. So if I kill all the survivors, then no more Ghostface will come back. If I kill everyone, there can't be another Ghostface attack. And that could be her like deranged thing that happens. And you have a fully fledged character. Like, oh, why is Kirby a Ghostface? Well, because her fucking brain got broken when her best friend stabbed her in the gut, or her boyfriend almost stabbed her in the gut, and she was left for dead. And then she watched it just happen again and again, and she couldn't take it anymore. It's like, oh, that's a pretty good reason to kill a bunch of people. Why did Gale become a Ghostface? Oh, because, she fought against these killers so long, and then the person she loved most in the world was just brutally slaughtered while he was trying to protect these stupid fucking kids. So of course, yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes total sense. Her brain broke when she lost everything. Why did Detective Bailey and his kids become Ghostface killers? Well, Richie got killed, and they kind of don't even really blame Sam. Like, they know that Sam didn't kill everyone, and they don't care that Richie was the killer. They know that Richie was the killer. They don't even blame Sam for Richie killing people. Like, at least Mrs. Loomis blamed other people for Billy being a killer. She was like, Billy's a good boy. It wasn't his fault. It was your mother who caused all of this. Whereas Detective Bailey's just like, yeah, he killed everyone, but you killed him, so I killed 50 people in New York City for no reason. It's like, all right, that's cool. Like, you're crazy, but also, what? What do you mean? That doesn't. Why don't you just shoot Sam in the head the first time you saw it? Like, why this big charade? All of a sudden,
Wow, because we need a movie,
and that's it. That's the biggest problem with Scream 6, is that there is too much stuff in this movie that is there because it's a movie, not because it serves the characters or is a great story. And that's not enough. Like the way that this movie plays out is not enough for me to be like, fuck this movie. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I had a great time. I'm really excited to watch it again. I hope I get to see this again in a cinema with a full audience of people, because that is how this movie was made to be watched. And I'm so, so, so happy that people are going in droves to see a Scream movie, a Scream 6, no less, in 2023. And that of the movies that are breaking out as hits this year, Scream is one of them. Because we're definitely getting Scream 7. We're probably getting up to like a Scream 9 now. Like they're going to ride this train for a while. And I love Scream movies, and every new Scream movie is a new possibility. I didn't like 5. I really enjoyed 6. So there's always the possibility the next one that comes out is going to be great. And I don't expect anything to be like the Wes Craven Screams anymore. But
I just hope
I wish they had waited 2 years to bring this movie out.
Yeah, I think, but it's one of those things. It's like you got to strike while the iron's hot. I think to a point. Like I think if you
I
wait
get it.
too long,
get it.
But you're right. I think sometimes when again your major character, or I want to say major, like your final girl, the ultimate final girl, Nev Campbell says no, then you have to reassess things. Then you probably go, look, we need another 6 months. We need to really fine tune the script a bit better to make sure we're giving the audience what they want and what they deserve, especially without Nev Campbell. Which again, maybe we got more, like you said, maybe we got more Kirby because of it.
More Kirby is good. Bring on more Kirby.
But
Make
I
her killer in 7. You know,
I do understand the rush to get it out. Like, okay, like that was big, very very similar to Scream 2. It's like, well, the first one was a massive hit. Let's get another one, get it done, put it in the can. Yeah, I like the idea of the core 4, and I love that Chad was the one that came up with it. I think the story, at least for another sequel going into another one, having the love interest, I think that's important for the film. I think that's nice. It's sweet. And it's good for Tara and Chad. But in hindsight, I feel like they needed to not have him look absolutely mortally and fatally killed for him to survive again. Because look,
if you watch it slowly, all the stabs are like they're kind of like outer rim. You know, they don't get him right in the good bits. They get him kind of arms and shoulders.
It does feel a little bit like that. But
look, if you want to talk problems with stabbings, then we need to talk the
Yeah.
biggest problem with the stabbings in this movie.
Was his Gale or just
It's Tara.
Oh,
It's
well,
Tara,
yes, yeah.
who gets stabbed in the back. The knife goes into the hilt. It doesn't stop her running around at all. And then at the end, when probably the worst written part of the movie is when she's like, "You have to let me go, Sam. Let me go." It's like, oh Christ, that's on the nose, guys. Come on, we get it. Sam is overbearing and also physically needs to let her go at this moment. But then she falls from a story up directly onto a knife, which goes again to the hilt into her stomach. And at the end of the movie, she's not even on a stretcher. She's walking around with her arm in a sling for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
But
isn't that, haven't
fine.
we, if you analyze all this, like in fairness, and again, this is not, again, a bashing radio silence, but to be honest, that was something Wes unfortunately did probably a couple of times too, where people that got pretty much fatally wounded somehow survived, or like you said, like for a long time, Scream 2, my favorite film, for a long time, I didn't even realize, didn't even think. Gail's walking around with a little bit of a bandage after a gunshot wound.
It bounced off her ribs. They explain it very clearly.
I didn't see an operating table, but she's wrapped up and she's walking around, and the more you think about it, oh, that's even more ridiculous. But you're right. I think 5 and 6 are so brutal, and it's not just like you said, it's not like a little beep, 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 a couple of, it's like a lot of stabs and a lot of deep, like you said, to the hill. And especially in the case of Tara, like you said, it's where they're put in. It's like near the spine, nerve damage, you won't be able to walk, all that sort of stuff, or at least you need to go into rehab to get yourself
also, why
fixed
doesn't
up.
Tara have any limps at all? Like her leg was badly broken. She was
Yes.
repeatedly stabbed in every part of her body. It's only been a year. Like the rehab it would take to get over those injuries is
I know.
insane.
If Dewey had a limp,
Do you have a
she
limp?
should have
You
a
get
limp.
a fucking limp.
So look, I mean,
Yeah, and I mean, Mindy got stabbed in the gut. Like I've had surgery on my abdomen that was keyhole.
yeah,
Just
And you
tiny
couldn't walk.
little holes they cut. I couldn't stand up straight for 2 weeks. Like it friggin' your body reacts so violently to the
Ask
middle of
any
your
woman
body being
that's
injured.
ask any woman that's had a
Asking when you
cesarean.
have childbirth. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Like
cesareans, and
she
then
got
what you can and can't do after cesarean. Yeah, it's all stitched up perfectly,
like
and
Mindy didn't get
those
stabbed in the side. It didn't go into the love handles or anything. She got stabbed direct, like almost in the
Mm,
belly button. Like how is she upright, let alone
mm,
running around? Even if she has had all these drugs. Like pick a lane. If in
mm,
Scream 5 Tara gets stabbed to shit and then doesn't get out of a hospital bed for the whole movie, like
mm,
cool, that makes sense. Lucky she's alive. If in Scream 6 some characters get stabbed so brutally that you think they're dead and then are ushered out on stretchers like
mm,
Chad, and other characters get stabbed so brutally that they need a sling and then can just walk off into the
mm.
sunset with no cops or ambulance helping them. I have some queries about the
Mm. Well, I
consistency.
was going to say another friend. Where I had a bit of a conversation with another friend in the UK after they saw the movie, and she was sort of saying, "Oh, the only thing that kind of annoyed me a little bit, like you give a little bit of leeway. They like a few more stabs, and their characters seem to survive a little bit more than you probably would in the real world. I'll give them that much, and a bit like, obviously the Ghostface seems to survive a few hits here and
Oh
there
my
and all that
god,
sort of
Ghostface
stuff,
is
but
incredible.
okay, you put that to the side a little bit, but it was kind of like she said, the one thing that kind of annoyed me was like both Sam and especially Tara, like you said, have been given pretty decent stabs in this final battle, and yet once they've killed everyone, they both walk out, they're talking to each other, and they sit down and they sort of
Oh,
relax, like as if they're not in mortal danger. Like, okay, there's adrenaline pumping through your system. You're probably going to have that high where at some point when you sit down, you start relaxing. You go, oh shit, I'm bleeding. I'm losing a lot of blood here. I'm
oh
getting a
god, I
little
might
bit. I'm
die.
getting a little bit woozy here, man. Um, and then they sit down and they're sort of chatting before they get help. There's no call for 911 or find the phone,
That was a
and not
terrible
even
scene.
to check that Kirby's alive. And then Kirby gets up and she's still alive, and you go, what's wrong with these people? Like that ending sort of scene sort of did feel a little bit like, I don't know. There needs to be more urgency. You're dying here. You could
The fact that
bleed
they
out.
like
Yeah.
killed 3 killers and nearly
Mm,
died themselves, and then sit down and she's like, I won't be in your life so much if you don't want me to. It's like now is not the fucking time.
mm,
And both one of you needs to acknowledge that. But nope, you're both just gonna go, no, I do want you around. I love you. It's like, yeah, cool guys, but also how about you get out of the what you have called yourselves kill box and make sure there's not a fourth fucking ghost face or that one of them doesn't pop back up again and like
mm.
also you just watch your sister like stab a guy in the fucking eye. Like, aren't you
Yeah.
gonna just talk about that for
Yeah.
a second? Like, hey Sam, I've noticed in the last year you've really enjoyed stabbing the shit out of some people. Are you okay? No.
Yeah.
I won't be in your life so much. I know I love you. What are you like? What is what is that? What is that conversation doing there? Have that conversation out in the street when like everything's wrapped up, and I'm like, yeah, great. Let's resolve that part of your the friction between your characters. Not then.
Mm.
Like sit down and
Actually,
be like, did you enjoy that, Sam? So she'd be like, I kind of didn't. She's like, I could kind of tell. And then Kirby pops up and they're like, ah.
but doesn't she say when she kind of looks at her disapprovingly, doesn't she say nice or something like
Yeah.
that? Yeah, that's yeah. Anyway, um, the only other thing that I thought actually in universe was a bit silly and a little bit bullshit was the therapist. Not knowing that she was Billy's daughter or that she was involved. And I was kind of like, the second time I watched it too, I was like really paying attention. I'm like, I'm sorry. If you've been referred to this guy, unless you're under a pseudonym or a fake name, there's no way that that's information he doesn't know from the get go, or you're supposed to supply so he can help you as you talk through these problems and give you like. And then he's like, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna alert the authorities. Like, what the fuck? Where was this guy? Like, that was just such a throwaway character too, and it was like a little bit like, eh.
That scene also confused the shit out of me because sorry, not that scene, but that character, like that scene was weird. Like, why is she having a session with a therapist that late at night? It's like 11 o'clock on a Friday that she's at, but never mind that. But the next time we see him, the start of that scene is happening at night. I swear to God, like he's in his pajamas watching a movie, eating dinner, and then there's a knock on the door, and then
And a
when he opens the
lot.
door, it's daylight and it's the
Yeah.
morning. But my bigger problem is why why is Ghostface dressed as Ghostface in that moment?
Yes.
Because again, that's a moment where that's not for anyone in the movie.
That's for
Like,
us.
because if you stand there dressed as Ghostface, the therapist is like, I'm not opening that fucking door. If you stand there dressed as a regular person and you're not going to be like, yes, and then you can be like, stab in the face. And he didn't see it coming, but he sees it coming because he dressed as Ghostface in broad daylight and there's no one else in the house. So why the fuck do you need to be dressed as Ghostface? No one cares. And I know that's an ongoing problem with any movie where you have a costume killer, particularly Scream, because in every Scream movie, there's at least one scene where you're like, you didn't need to be dressed as Ghostface there, because if the plan is to kill that person, A, it's a lot easier to get to them if you're not dressed as Ghostface. But B, if you successfully kill them, well, they're not going to tell anyone who you are they? So, but that one in particular, I was like, what are you doing? It's broad daylight. You're on a busy New York street, and you're trying to get someone to open the door. Why would you put on the Ghostface mask? Like, it makes no sense.
And now it feels like we're just ripping the movie apart. But
and look, I think this is something I've started to see online a fair bit. Is the opening reviews were just rave. Everyone's like, "This is great! Like the best, best Scream in years. It's so much fun. This is incredible. This is how horror movies should be." And everyone loved it. And then like a couple of days later, people are like, "This script is soggy. Like you can really pull it apart with not much effort at all."
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. Like I walked out, I was like, that was great fun, man. Like I immediately have questions. I'm like, what is going on with some of that stuff? But I had such a good time and it was really enjoyable. And I really had fun going to the cinema, seeing a Scream movie, laughing at the fun stuff and being like, oh shit, that was crazy. But a few days later, I was like, like that question is kind of starting to just niggle me a bit the more I think about it. And I do think that's happening to a lot of people. So I know that the second half of this episode has become a bit like, what the fuck about this? I think that's just inevitable when you're talking a film like this that doesn't quite hit all the beats. And for me, like certainly none of that is to say that this is a bad movie and not a fun time and that people shouldn't be like, let's go fucking see Scream again.
Well, it's funny. A lot of the people I talk to that are Scream fans that really enjoyed it, and obviously, a lot of them knew I'd seen it early or at least saw it pretty early days. And I had to go. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Let's go and see it. If you're a fan, just see it. Like, don't go on my review, my negative, positive, or whatever review. Like, just go see it. Like we sort of said to Sean, just go see the movie. Judge it for yourself. If you've lost 2 hours of your life, oh well, so be it. There's a lot of other crap, especially Sean, that I could argue that there's some other movies he wastes his time on. But
that is something you just said, 2 hours, which we haven't talked about. It's a runtime. It doesn't feel like 2 hours.
No, it doesn't. It cracks along at a good pace. So I think we agreed. I think Bros was there when we're sort of saying, like, really in the scheme of things, whether you liked it or not, I think the script for the length that it is very tight. I think it doesn't hang on anything too long. I never felt bored. I never felt like, just, checking the watch or anything like that. There was always, the scenes were quick, short, sharp. Like you said earlier, maybe you could argue the subway stuff could have been tightened up, especially because they gave away a lot of what was going to happen in the trailers and stuff. Maybe that could have been slightly tightened up.
Yeah, and look, I don't blame the directors for what winds up in the trailer, but I do think the actual thing that was in the film could have been shortened and still been as if not more effective.
Yeah, and I think I've lost my train of thought where I was going with all that. So a lot of the consensus that I've had from fans that actually enjoyed it, the admission was that a few people actually had said to me, loved the movie, had a lot of fun, it was a good time, but felt like the third act was still a bit clumsy, a bit clunky at times. So I'm sort of probably in agreement on what you said. It's like, it was this great moment. You have Tara, this sweet moment of him and her and Chad with the chocolate, was it Milk Duds or whatever the candy was still in there, and having their moment. Then the next minute, the Ghostface is coming in and they're sort of running away and they're trying to find an escape route in this kill box. And there's this cool stuff happening, and then he gets a camera. Was it Kenny's camera? Well, I think it was Kenny's camera. We don't know 100%.
Oh, yeah, that was really fun. I think it was because he grabs it from the top story, next to the top story jacket.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That makes sense. Because someone did say, was it hers or was it Joel's? Who knows? But there was some fun stuff there. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it got a bit cheesy. The whole, you've got to let me go, Sam. You've got to let me go. But I'm like, I'm sorry, you've already been stabbed in the back. You're going to drop down. Yes, she's giving you a knife, but you're in a bit like Anakin Skywalker. You're on the low ground at this point. He's got the upper advantage. All he has to do is step out the way and just put the knife straight through you as you slide down it. And it's like, I don't know where this is going. Like, I know, kind of feel like she's going to survive it, but it just seems a little bit ridiculous. Like, how, like, I think that's the look, again, I don't. It's more. This is what I'm thinking of on the spot as well. This is very spontaneous thoughts, and I don't want to bag Radio Silence any more than they should because I still think they've made a fun movie, and that's the point of films to be entertain people. But I do feel like if you're analyzing it in the scheme and the whole Scream universe, yes, don't get me wrong. I've had a lot to say over the years about Scream 3 and the stupidity of some of that. But I do feel like you've set and shown us that these killers, these Ghostface, before they're revealed, are very good at what they do.
Oh, yeah.
And they cop a couple of hits, but they can get back up. They can navigate their way. They can chase. They can bring people down. They can do a lot of great things. But then sometimes when they get revealed in the final act, they're real fucking dumb all of a sudden, like their magic's worn off because the mask is off. And I think
Yes.
the Ethan thing, the reality of that moment is so dumb because, like I said, if he's done all these great kills and he's well trained, like you said, again, his father's in the police, can train in self-defense and all these tactics. How does he, as soon as she's falling, does not step out of the way and make sure he drives that right in her face, or just even back, and as her body's falling down, just rip straight up her? Like, even the dynamics of that, I'm like, that's kind of dumb, or even really bloody arrogant, because Tara should never have survived that fall.
No.
In essence, and that's why when the whole let it go, I'm like,
But also, Ethan shouldn't have survived getting stabbed in the fucking mouth. But he did.
That's true, and that was a full twist. That's another thing. But I think we know there has to be a Ghostface that rises, but I kind of that's where I think they. I like to, maybe I've just been naive all these years that I always felt like the Scream universe did feel for a long time very, I wouldn't say accurate to life, but very at least realistic in the scheme of slasher films that you go, yeah, it's kind of believable. Like, it's not believable that Sydney every couple of years will have someone come into her life and try and kill all her friends and then kill her. But I think I felt like for a long time it felt believable enough that I'm like, I can suspend my belief that this could really happen, and this feels very realistic that would be Stu and Billy. That makes sense that they're the killers. And then as the movies have got further and further, that kind of got a little bit stupid. It's like, oh, is Amber really lifting up Dewey? Is Jill really fucking killing people that much? Charlie Walker's a midget, like, but they're running around like 6'2". You know what I mean? Like, I think they have gone a little bit silly. Like, whereas I think in the first couple, the killers, like, yeah, I don't expect Debbie Salt to be killing too many people, but Mickey, yeah, he's ripped.
He's crazy too.
But yeah.
How many people do we think Ethan actually kills in this movie? Because I feel like if you start to look at it, he probably doesn't do much.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe
like, I know he's one of the people who stabs Chad, but he doesn't attack Gail. He doesn't attack Quinn. He doesn't. I mean, if they try to tell me that he's the bodega killer, I would go crazy because I swear that's Detective Bailey, hands down. He doesn't kill Jason, and presumably doesn't kill Greg then.
Well, could that have been all three? I mean, yeah.
Well, doesn't Bailey say he did it?
Oh, okay, yeah, and that makes sense. Actually, Ethan's at the party with Tara and that, so that would
Ethan's at the party. Quinn's at the party, so that's got to be Bailey.
Yep.
Quinn is fake dead when Ghostface breaks in, and that would have to be Bailey who does that. Which means Bailey also kills Annika. And Bailey. Wait, how many people die in this movie? Not many people die in this movie.
No, there was nobody count 15. It's the most of the Scream movie, but
a bunch of them aren't like the bodega customers and the bodega guy get killed, but not St. Heartless, but who gives a shit? Like, they're not named characters in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, of the group of characters that we interact with, the core four survive. Danny survives. Quinn turns out to not be dead. and is a killer. Ethan is a killer. Is it just Annika from the core group who dies in this movie?
Yep. I think so, yeah.
Wow. Like they kill fuck all people from their actual.
Mm.
They just kill a bunch of random people in this movie.
Mm.
Yeah, holy shit. Like no one really dies in this movie now I think about it.
Yeah. But I think that
Gail
they
lives. Like
they
everyone lives.
argue with Ethan because I think Ethan's supposed to have been there for that dinner. Like when Annika dies or when the first thing happens, I think Ethan's supposed to be there, and that's what they crack it with him about. Like, where were you? And that's like I said, he's like, oh, I was in
I
econ.
had econ. I had econ. I do think
Um,
they also like maybe missed a bit of an opportunity to have at least like one bit at the end where Quinn and Ethan bicker about something, when they're meant to be killing people. Like it'd be fun to see a couple of Ghostface siblings bickering with each other about bullshit sibling
hmm.
stuff. And then the dad have to like tell them off. So Ghostface thing at I don't know. But yeah, for Christ, now I think about it, not many people die in this one
I know because I don't know if
that
it
are
was
really
you
like
sent me or
established characters.
someone said, oh, it's the biggest body count, and I'm like, really? And then
Mm.
I'm like, okay, yeah, Samara Weaving 1, Greg 2, Jason 3.
Yeah, I mean,
And like you
Greg
said,
dies
what's
off camera.
miss? Yeah, well, exactly. So you don't sort of see it, so it doesn't feel like it's a kill. And like you said, there's 3 people that die in the bodega, and you don't really, they're no
Yeah,
name
and the
people
guy that
apart from,
Quinn's rooting gets killed in the apartment, but who gives
and
a
we
shit
don't
about
know
that? We don't
him.
even know he's there, let alone know his name.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah,
Mm.
anyone else who is a character with any kind of stakes or backstory of any sort, apart from Annika, who coincidentally is the least developed character in the movie, maybe after Ethan, but at least Ethan gets the third act reveal that he's part of the Ghostface family. Annika's just kind of there. She has as much character development as the girl that Mindy makes out with in the last Scream movie, which is zero. Um,
Francis.
Francis, yeah. Um, wow, yeah, that's surprising because there is a lot of killing in this movie, but when you step back and think about it, not a lot of it matters.
Mm.
Honestly, like no one lost anyone except for Mindy in this one, and she truly didn't seem that upset. Like after it happened, she just kind of got on with her life and seemed okay with it.
Mm.
Like one of the things they did in this movie that they don't often do in movies like this, particularly Scream movies, that I thought was really great, is when like it's all said and done and they're calming down and they're at the ambulance, and then suddenly Tara like starts to cry and is really upset. She's like, "What is it?" And she's like, "Chad," and she gets really upset that Chad's dead. Like they don't often mourn the
Yeah.
people who are dead in these movies after the fact. They're like in the scene where they're dead, they're like, no. And then the
Well,
next scene is like, we got to get
that's
this fucker.
that's the other crazy sort of thing that I know you don't want to bog down the script with maybe slow, boring stuff, possibly. But remember when we were talking that Scream 5, and I can't remember if this is in the podcast or off air or in just general conversation, but I think they had a golden opportunity to have a funeral for Dewey. Or it was some sort of
Yeah, just something.
something. And like I know we had that moment where Gail looks at the little pictures and the drawing in the shrine of him, and we have that. And I think we hear his theme at some point when she mentions him. We definitely hear his
We do hear
Dewey's
his theme,
theme,
yeah.
but I do feel like they. I don't know. It would have been cool to just have some sort of moment at some sort of memorial for him, just to be different. Because I don't, like
Yeah.
you said, I think we don't see that enough in horror because they are somewhat disposable and they move on to the next thing. Like you said, there's no time to mourn. But then when you're supposed to have a year break, like why couldn't you have um, it start on? I don't know. I know the formula
Well,
of
I
a
guess
Scream
the
movie
reason that you
is
couldn't have you could have like a memorial, you couldn't have like a full on funeral for him is because this thing takes place over 3 days. So you ain't organizing a funeral that quick. But you could definitely have a memorial, like even a scene where a bunch of the Woodsboro police, are at a pub with a picture of Dewey up, and some of the characters go there and talk about how much they love. Like they do it for Wes, for Christ's sake.
yeah.
Like
For
give
when?
us something for him. Um, yeah, wow. Like that's something I'm realizing in real time is that no one of any significance dies in this movie, which is maybe a first for a Scream film.
Yeah, well, it's got to
Who
raise
gives a
it.
shit about Gail's boyfriend? He doesn't have a name, and not even Gail seems upset. Annika, sure, she was kind of a part of the group, but also, like I said, not really a developed character. Every other person who dies in this movie is fodder. Like, they're not characters. Jason is more developed as a character than Annika. Like, it was more of a thing when he died. And then 3 of the 15 in the body count is the killers because there's 3 of them. And something we didn't talk about, which we'll just mention very briefly, but weird fucking soggy CGI Billy Loomis is back again in this movie.
Wow, and it looks
Worse than in
last
Scream 5, and he looks older in the CGI than he does in real life, which he's got to be angry about. And also, I don't know, they're like, he's looking more and more like an anime character than he did previously. Like, it's really disturbing how cartoonish he is.
I just wonder, like, I don't know what those things cost when it comes to CGI. They're only quick, they weren't long, but I'm sure per frame it costs X amount of dollars to film or record. And
I can understand on Scream 5 them not springing to like really go, but this movie had money and they knew this movie was going to make money. So if they wanted to do it, why not? Like, at this point, I just wish they would just have Skeet Ulrich in real life, just looking how he looks now in there, and everyone can be like, yeah, he's older now. We all know it. Like, let's move on.
Yeah,
or you have him in real life and like de-age him a little bit, like they did in The Irishman, instead of having him fully CGI, which is what they've done.
You know what? I'm not too sure because I'm assuming they bring him in and he films his scenes. And
see, I don't think he's actually watching this movie. I don't think he was ever on set. I think they just like mapped his face. And then I think they just did computer imaging onto where the glass was to reflect his image, because it doesn't look like a person at all.
No, it looks terrible, and it does. If I was him, like you said, like he has age. Like, it's what, how many years? 20. Geez, you're 25, 26 years since the first movie, and the reality is he looks older than he probably is in real life now. Like, he's almost 50, I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he's 50. I heard a podcast with him not long ago, and it does feel weird that I feel like some other de-aging is done really well. And having said that, there's been some bad de-aging in movies. And who's that guy? There's the guy that used to do it on YouTube, Deepfake, who then got recruited by Disney to do a lot of their de-aging.
Like the Tom Cruise stuff?
Yeah, there was a guy that was really good at doing. I think he did Deepfake. He put Harrison Ford young in the Solo movies in some of the scenes.
Oh, I
and it's like,
that.
Oh my god, yeah. So
and it looked better than anything that.
And then Disney got him. I think hired him because I think they didn't like, or people critiqued maybe like a Mark Hamill de-aging that they did for The Mandalorian or one of those, and then they got him back, and then the next time they did some Mark Hamill stuff, it was like, oh wow, that looks.
Yeah, the later Mark Hamill stuff looks crazy good.
Yeah, so it's like, I know it costs money, but like, if you really want to do it and it's important for the movie, just give us the good Billy Loomis. Like, fuck. Well, I don't know. It looks shit. I'm sorry, Radio Silence. That's the one thing I'll say. That looked bad, and I don't know.
I don't even hold them accountable for that. Like, that's post-production stuff, and I don't think that they would have. I mean, they obviously have a say, but I think like if they got it back, especially with the tight turnaround, they're like, "This is what it looks like." I don't think that they'd be like, "Do it again." Like, they're not, Francis Ford Coppola is like, "We will take 7 years to make this movie. I don't care." Like, the studio's like, it comes out in March. We don't give a shit what you guys do. Like, if you don't finish it, someone.
I get that. I get that too, but I still think if whoever signed and green lights that, taking the time sensitive nature of a film out of it, I think that's just bad. Like, it's like, surely you can come up with a better.
It's kind of like look, I don't want to be mean to anyone because nothing is as bad as Mummy Returns, Scorpion King, but it's kind of getting into Mummy Returns, Scorpion King territory here. Like,
which is what, episode 5 or 6 that we did.
But it's that side of where this is. On one end you've got Mark Hamill in Mandalorian or The Irishman, the stuff they did with the de-aging there, which is crazy good. And the other side you've got Scorpion King, and you guys are not on the Mandalorian Irishman side of things with this Billy Loomis shit, and it didn't need to be there.
Well, I was going to say, could you, if you're not happy with the look, can't you just have his voice in her head?
Or what else you could have is you've got a shrine to all the Ghostface,
Mm.
like one of the Ghostface could start moving around with his voice. You don't need to actually see his face. It could be the Ghostface costume walking around and talking to her
Yeah.
and her like freaking out. And then suddenly Tara comes and she looks and the Ghostface costume hasn't moved.
Yeah.
But she's seeing
And that would be
her
creepy. Well,
as
that would
Ghostface
be
now.
that would be creepier. That would be creepier that it starts moving, like it moves out of the glass, and you're like, oh shit! And then it's her having.
Yeah, like she's looking at the Ghostface mask her dad wore to kill a bunch of people. If she's having a conversation with it and it talks back, and then as it's talking back, it starts to like move towards her. Really cool, creepy scene. And also, again, something we haven't seen before. Weird CGI Billy Loomis reflected an image talking to Sam, something we saw in the last movie that we didn't really dig on then. Like, do something else.
Yeah, I think if we can get out anything out to Radio Silence for all the positive they've done, just get rid of it. Like, use the Billy Loomis stuff, but in a different way. Just don't give us non-de-aged, old-looking, weird Botox Billy Loomis. Don't just stop with that shit.
So appreciative that they got Skeet Ulrich back to do this stuff, but it's at this point, it's like, if this is what it looks like when you do that, get a lookalike. Just get a fucking 24-year-old guy who kind of looks like Skeet Ulrich, and don't fully show, like, have his face kind of in shadows. So we're like, that's not him, but it kind of looks like him, and then get Skeet to do the voice and dub it or something, because it's a big distraction from what is an otherwise, but in this movie at least, like that really cool stuff that they do in the shrine, just as a fan, it's really fun to look and see that. However you feel about it working in the movie as a listener, everyone's going to feel differently. But as a fan of the Scream movies, seeing all the Ghostface lined up there and them talking about each of the Ghostface and all the memorabilia from the movies, is like, wow, like they're really acknowledging, for all of the chat about the last one, it's a requel. It's not, we're ignoring everything else. And this one's like, no, we're doing the opposite. We're fully embracing we're talking about every Ghostface. We are showing you every movie. We are really letting you know that we understand we live and breathe in this world that Wes Craven created. It was fun. It was so fun. And then, CGI Billy Loomis is maybe like, fuck this guy again. Oh, that's a bummer.
What did you?
That's Scream, baby.
I guess we've got to start winding up because we have been talking for a little while, and I'm sure we could talk for a long while after.
There's a lot to break down in this movie.
But what did you think, apart from, again, I'm not sure the realism of the masks being sort of aged, because trust me, I've got masks and they don't age that much. I liked it. I liked the whole planting the in the orders of the killers, but
I loved it. I thought it was amazing. Yeah. It's incredible. Like we've talked about before, Scream is in such a unique position where it's not the killer that survives and keeps the franchise going. It's the survivors that survive and keep the franchise going. And unlike Michael Myers is Halloween. They did one movie without Michael Myers as the killer and people lost their fucking minds. They were like, no, we don't like it. And they never did it again. Same with, Jason Voorhees is the Friday 13th movie. They did one movie where he wasn't the killer and people were like, no, we don't like it. In fact, that was kind of Scream before Scream, because, a different person just put on the mask and kept going. Same with all the others. Hellraiser without Pinhead doesn't make sense. People won't get into it. Child's Play without Chucky doesn't work. Whereas Scream, Ghostface is the costume, not the killer. So every movie we have a different killer. So for us to be 6 movies deep now and to have, what are we talking, 9 killers? Is that right? 2, 4.
It's even more now, because
6,
the
8,
funny
9.
thing is, didn't Gale say 10 killers, 10 dipshits that wore the mask?
Well, let's rattle off. We got Billy Stew. We got Mikey and Mrs. Loomis. We got Roman.
How disrespectful.
Mickey. Sorry. Oh, because I'm thinking ahead of killers and I'm thinking Mikey Madsen, who is Amber. Fuck, now I got to start again. Billy Stew.
So we got 5 in the first
Loomis,
3
Roman,
movies.
Charlie, Jill, Richie, Amber. So that's 9 that we're up to when we start Scream 6. So now we're up to 12, for Christ's sake. There's been 12 Ghostface, 15 if you count Jason and
Greg.
Well,
I think we sort of find out that Greg's never killed anyone. That's what they were leading up to. So technically, Jason is a killer. So
technically 14 Ghostface killers, even if he only had 1 kill under his belt. It's probably 1 more than Ethan.
He still killed someone in a Ghostface mask. So.
But yeah, so I love that when we're 6 movies deep and we've had 9 different killers, that this movie not only acknowledged that, but like made it a part of the plot. Like this particular Ghostface is using all of the stuff from the previous killers, which also like it made it harder to track the link. You know, the reveal that it's, oh, I'm Richie's dad is like, okay, like we've seen this in a Scream movie before, but you're a pretty fun killer, so I'll forgive it, is very well hidden under the fact that, like, well, the first mask is got DNA on it from, holy shit, from a previous Ghostface. Oh, the second mask has DNA from another Ghostface. Oh my god, this is Roman Bridges' DNA. Like this is Mrs. Loomis's DNA. Like they're like, all of the killers haven't been forgotten by anyone in the movie. Which again, like they kind of tried to do with Scream 5. They're like, oh no, there was only Billy. There wasn't even Stu. There's no Stu. It was just Billy.
Yeah, like before we wind up, the other thing that was, I thought, hanging, that I thought they might use in this film, hopefully in the next film, maybe it doesn't really matter anymore, but Christina Carpenter is mentioned again. We didn't see her in the first movie, but we've now told her, oh, she's out of the picture because Sam cut her off, or she cut off Sam.
She cut off Sam
because she told Tara
Sam
about
told
Billy.
Tara about Billy being her
and then
dad.
so Tara's cut her off. But then the mum's not in the picture again, and like you said, again, so
No, the mum cuts them off. The mum cuts Sam off. Oh, sorry, you're right. Yeah,
Yep.
Mum cuts Sam off for telling Tara about the dad. So Tara cuts contact with the mum for cutting off Sam.
So, because I was kind of wanting some sort of reveal of Christina for this film, or at least something, because I feel like they kind of set up enough in the first movie that she's an alcoholic and there's issues, and obviously she had a crush on Billy, and maybe she's a little bit crazy obsessed, like she could be a killer. And then it's like, there's obviously this reveal where Gail asks a question, and it's kind of explained, but she's not in the picture. Like, oh, that could be a motive or reason or whatever, or I don't know. I just wonder.
I mean, it would be a good killer in Scream 7 if Ghostface turns out to be Christina Carpenter and she's been trying to kill just Sam and not Tara, because she feels like Sam is putting Tara at risk. She's like, you're evil just like your father, and she's gone a bit crazy. That would work. Like you said, she's a character who's been discussed twice and is kind of there for the taking. We've never seen even so much as a photo of her, so you've got the freedom to cast anyone you want, including like a name if you wanted to. Which I guess, like, Dermot Mulroney, he's not like mega famous, but he's probably one of the more famous castings for a Ghostface so far. Like, Jill Roberts wasn't that famous before this movie. Certainly neither was Culkin. He was a bit of name, but he wasn't super famous. And same with Timothy Olyphant. Like, he was building his career, but he wasn't famous.
So it was almost one of these. I think Laurie Metcalf would be probably one of the more famous.
She would probably be one of the most known at the time of filming before Dermot Mulroney. So, that was a twist as well. Having a well-known actor in a Scream movie doesn't happen much. Having a well-known actor in a Scream movie turn out to be the killer, certainly not. So yeah, like maybe you could cast a mega famous person in Scream 7 who turns out to be the killer, and that'd certainly throw people off. Their mum is played by Rihanna or something.
Wouldn't make a lot of sense, but
it would make zero sense.
Well, it's crazy.
Rihanna's in. It's like, I don't need logic to work. Rihanna's in this movie. She can kill whoever she wants.
The funny thing is, like, there's been a lot of banter and talk online again once Scream 5 came out, that people are like, oh, who could Christina be? Who could play her? She's got to be in the next movie. She could be possibly a killer, or at least a red herring. And there's so many great choices of these great actresses that have been around for years, but even one that who's in Riverdale now, and her name is escaping me all of a sudden, but she would be and she was actually in Scream 2. She's actually in the sorority house and comes in when Sarah Michelle Cece's about to get killed, and she comes in and she's like, don't forget to set the alarm, or she's on the phone, and then she leaves. But
Oh,
now her, like, it would kind of make sense that she could have been it could be turn out that she is the girl that she was there the whole time. That'd be a really cool twist.
oh shit! You know
I,
who else is in Riverdale? Skeet Ulrich. I never knew that. I'm just
yeah,
looking at
no,
the cast
yes,
list.
yeah. So Skeet's in that, but why am
I don't
I?
know who you're talking about. Marisol Nichols.
Yes, yeah, Marissa Nichols. Yeah, she's in Scream too, and she now you go, oh, I could buy her totally as Sam and Tara's mum, 100%.
Yeah, I
Um,
can see it. I can see it in her
Yeah,
face.
and I'm like, oh my god, just bring her back, and you can have it in that she was there the whole time for Scream
But her
Two. Like,
name in Scream 2 is Dawny.
Dawn, yes, that's right, but
Dawny. How do
that could be
we?
a fake name.
Could be a
Could,
middle name. Christina Dawn Carpenter. Oh
yeah,
yeah, people call me Dawny.
yeah,
Because there was already a CC in my fraternity, so I couldn't be CC, so they call me Dawny. There you go. I did
yep,
work for you, Radio Science. Pay
yeah,
me, pay me.
yeah. Bring
Um,
in Miss, and
Hey,
yeah,
speaking of pay me, I tell you, I mentioned on this podcast previously that what I thought would happen at the end of Scream 6, and I wasn't quite right, but I did
say the
say
theater.
that the end of Scream 6 would be set in a cinema, and there would be three Ghostface, and at one point the third Ghostface would reveal himself by jumping through the cinema screen, and that happened beat for beat. So Radio Silence, slide into my DMs, and I'll give you my bank details for that transfer. Because I
That's
wrote
sweet,
that
sweet
scene
transfer.
for you. I wrote it for you.
Yeah, they listen to our podcast stuff. They knew they had to rewrite. Like, hang on a second.
I'll tell you right now, Scream 7, we've set up a lot of stuff about how there's a cult of Ghostface, maybe. Like it's right there. You can run with it. And it was true before, it's true now. You know, he'll be the perfect person to run a cult of Ghostface, be the secret mastermind. But
Randy.
Randy could still be eating a bit. And I tell you what, Kirby could still be a killer. Like just because there's a cult of Ghostface doesn't mean they're all working together. If the Bailey Ghostface are going to kill Jason and Greg, like obviously not all the Ghostface get along. So maybe Kirby really is on it, and she was there to like, you know, clean up their mess. And then when they fucked it up, she's like, I'm not killing anyone and getting my life screwed up. I'm gonna just disappear back into being a cop. What do you think about being her being a cop? Just quickly, did you like that she was FBI? Like
I
not
look,
just a cop,
I
but
didn't,
FBI.
I didn't hate the reasoning, but I'm not too sure. Like, I like that Gail made a joke that she was still a baby
You're a
on the fly go.
child. She's like, I'm 30. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not too sure.
I think I like it. I think if she's not a killer, like
Yeah,
make her a cop who has more authority than Bailey, and also making her a Fed means she can go anywhere. Like she's
yeah,
not limited to Woodsboro wherever she's a cop. She's a Fed. She can cruise around. So I liked it when she first was like, I'm FBI. I was like, this is an absolute lie. She's a killer. She's
yeah.
not FBI. There's no way Kirby is a fucking FBI agent. And then I was
Mm.
like, no, she's really got a gun. She's not pulling a fake out, and I think she might really be FBI in this movie. And I was like, I came on board. I like it. I like FBI agent Kirby Reed. That's fun, and it gives her so much permission to come back in every fucking movie, and for them to call on her in every fucking movie, and her to survive every movie. It's like she's an FBI
Yeah.
agent.
I think that's what they had to do too. They had to, if they knew Nev wasn't possibly ever coming back, they're like, well, we've got to have our next favorite, everyone's cult favorite, that's still alive is Kirby. So it's like, let's bring her back.
My firmly held prediction is we will absolutely see Nev Campbell in another Scream movie before we die. Don't know for certain it'll be 7. Good chance it'll be 7 because this one.
I mean, good if Kincaid was actually in one of these movies.
Thank you. Please bring Kincaid back. Bring Sydney and like.
What's he doing? He was in a bloody Transformers movie, for Christ's sake. He was actually in the third Transformers movie. He was in the third Scream movie. He likes threes.
Look, I don't think that he wasn't in Scream 5 by choice. I don't think they were like, we want you in this. And he was like, no, thank you. But I do think that it would be great, like bring them back together as like an action duo. Like,
well, I feel like there's a lot, the rumors have already circulated because I think, he's doing a horror film that is, Spyglass might be involved, or it's a Paramount film. So they're kind of like, oh, he's already in the studio. Maybe, hopefully they're going to team up for Scream 7. It's like, well, I'm pretty sure they're just signing up for the one film. But yeah, why wouldn't you ask the question? But
I just went to look him up and I searched Dermot Mulroney because they feel the same brief. The fuck's his name?
Mike Kincaid. Oh yeah,
his name is Mark. I'll
McDreamy. McDreamy.
Hang on. Why?
Why have I got a mental blank on his name?
His name is, oh, this is so embarrassing. His name
It is
is
very
Patrick
embarrassing.
Dempsey.
Oh, Patrick Dempsey. Such a dreamboat.
Such a dreamboat. What is Patrick Dempsey doing?
He's a bit of a silver fox these days, too.
He was just in Disenchanted, another sequel. He's going to be in Ferrari, the long gestating Michael Mann movie starring Adam Driver as Enzo Ferrari. However, he is like sixth billed, so I would like him to be higher up. Oh, he's in the horror movie you're talking about is Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, the Grindhouse trailer that is being turned into a full-fledged movie, which looks completely insane. It also stars Milo Manheim, who is another Disney Plus child from the Zombies movies. And that's about all I have to say about that right now. But yeah, like get Kincaid in Scream 7, get Sid, or even if Nev is like, I'm not coming back for 7, then call him, be like, hey, remember how in Scream 5 we alluded that the Mark we were talking about was Mark Kincaid? Do you want to come back? And then that way we can be like, yeah, this time Sydney, I'm keeping her out of it. I've come to protect her. She's at home.
Yes. Yeah. Look, you know what? I'd buy that and enjoy that if he's the one that showed up, or Ghostface goes to where Sydney's supposedly live and she's able to get out.
First time.
Yeah. That'd be kind of cool. But on that note, I think we need to wind up. Like I said,
that's a lot of chat about Scream 6.
Yeah, right. A lot. And maybe, well, we'll worry about that later. We'll put the comments below and any other theories you have. I know, sorry, Radio Silence, we might have nitpicked a bit too much, but that's the thing. We want our Scream movies to make a lot of sense. And like you said, we want the shock, or we don't want the theatrics just for the audience. We want it for the characters within the movie. And if it doesn't really line up. But anyway, I had a lot of fun.
I had a fun. Okay. I like this movie. I'm excited by this movie.
I know the way we rate movies is a little bit different, but for this one, ballpark, where have you got it sitting in the rankings right now?
Of the series?
Yeah, we'll just do the series and where you have it sort of ranked in between.
I don't think it'll be a surprise to anyone who's been listening, as I've repeatedly said, that there's like the Wes Craven screens and nothing will ever touch that, and then there's everything else.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So for me, I think it's going to be damn near impossible for anything that comes from this day forth to crack the top 4. Okay. So my ranking is 1, barely behind it, number 2, because it's such a fucking good movie. 3, 4, 6, 5.
So it's better than the first attempt into
significantly better in just about every way for me. This was a better Scream movie than the last one.
I've got it better than 5. I am a big Wes Craven fan, and I have a great acknowledgement of what he brought to the Scream franchise. I'm not as hard and fast as like those 4 are untouchable. I still feel like I still love 3 as part of that trilogy, but I still have a lot of problems with it, and I feel like there's still some issues for me there that I feel like are similar to 5 and 6 that still have great moments. It's still a lot of fun as a movie, but when you pull the script apart and really analyze things, Roman being the only killer, all that sort of stuff, that stuff doesn't add up. Same thing, unfortunately, applies to 5 and 6, but I would have 6 at this stage higher than 5, of course, and then higher than 3. But again, I would have to look back. I reckon I'm probably 6 and 4 about the same for me at the moment. But again, I also said the same thing about 5. I had 5 very high, watched it a few more times, analysed a lot more, and go, yeah, it was a lot of fun, but this is what I have an issue with. This is what I have an issue with. And maybe, like you said, the script saying after a few watches started to fall apart at the seams. So at this point, after 2 watches, 6 is pretty high, is in that 3 or 4 position. Wow. But that after another watch or 2, that could easily probably drop down again. I think it's also comes down when you think about the Scream franchise now too. It's the rewatchability is like, how many times are they going to rewatch this film? It's like, yeah, I could
rewatch this film a lot. I could happily sit down and rewatch it and have it on, like I do with some of the other Scream films. Just put it on because I want a Scream movie on in the background and watch a couple of scenes, like, oh, it's the fucking bodega scene, and like sit and watch that, and then you're like, okay, I got to do some shit, and they're like, oh yeah, it's the, I like the ladder bit between the apartments. I thought that was fun. It's like, oh, it's the ladder bit. We're gonna see fucking Annika's head get split open. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, it's definitely one I'm going to rewatch a lot, and one I'm excited to rewatch a lot until I become really familiar with it, and really get almost
Yeah, I'm already,
what happened.
which is interesting. I think almost the day after it released here, or maybe even the Thursday, Friday, Sanity here, which for anyone that's international, Sanity is a big, used to be a music store slash DVD store, and is now, it's actually, they're going to cease to have physical stores soon because that's the way the world's going and most of it's online. But they have already started advertising the fact that there's already a pre-out order. I think it's for June 7 is the physical media of Scream 6 will be coming out. And I believe, probably a day later, I saw HelloSydney.com started advertising, at least from the American audience, that the physical media is coming. So it's like the movie's barely been on in the cinemas and they're already going, oh no, we've already locked in the date. This is when it's coming out, which is surprising because I sort of think, why wouldn't you wait another week or two, see how the sales are going, or for ticket sales, go, oh, this is huge. All right, we'll release the DVD in May or something. Like we want to get people on. But having said all that, before we drop out, that's the thing I want to do. I want to go back and listen to the commentary of 5. I did one day started listening to it, but didn't sit through it all. I should have stuck it out before I saw 6. But I will be interested to see how much they reveal about, again, the lack of Nev's involvement, how much was changed, what was changed, maybe what characters changed, and just all the other stuff that the great thing about physical media that comes out, the extra stuff that you get to see. I'm hoping Radio Silence pack that disc with plenty of stuff.
I'd actually like an extended cut. I know this movie's already over 2 hours, but I'd be happy with another 10, 13 minutes of footage, even just seeing, just a couple little things here and there that maybe just patch a few things we were nitpicky about, or even just, give us slightly extended versions of some kills. I would watch more of this movie in a heartbeat. I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to have it, catapult into Scream 7. Gives me really high hopes for where the series is going now. And like I said before, like I listed off a couple of big boys, but I think the Scream series has got to be sitting pretty confidently now as one of the most consistently good horror franchises there are.
Yeah, I think we've said that, but I think now it would have to be the most money-made franchise as well when you come to that. Like, there's no way those other films would have made the same bank.
Scream 6, certainly. I think it obliterates certain... I mean, I can't remember how else Saw 6 did at the cinemas. I don't think it did great. Hellraiser Hellseeker was directed DVD. Curse of Chucky was directed DVD. Freddy's Dead Final Nightmare, I think, did okay, but not great numbers. It was better on VHS. Jason Lives did okay. Curse of Michael Myers bombed. So when you're talking about your big boy slasher franchises, this one is definitely making the most money. And I mean, I would say, for me personally, I'd say that Scream is batting like 5 for 6 at the moment in terms of really great, enjoyable.
That's bloody good odds.
Considering the first one came out in 1996, like it's not like Saw where they're just bashing them out one after the other. Like 1996, this series started, and it's had a fucking huge opening in 2023. Insane. Like, maybe Star Wars kept that kind of momentum and excitement. Obviously, Star Wars made more money, but in terms of like momentum and excitement for a franchise that was taking place decades later, the only other Part 6 I can think of in recent memory that created this much hype was maybe Fast and the Furious 6. I feel like people were pumped for that. And currently Mission Impossible 6. Like, people are pumped for that. But I feel like a lot of that is goodwill from Top Gun Maverick. Certainly that's why I'm really excited about it. Like, I like the Mission Impossible movies, but I'm pumped for 6 because I've been reminded like how much fun those kind of movies are at the cinema. So it's, when you put it up against that, in fact, Mission Impossible is a great metric because I think the first Mission Impossible came out in 1996 as well. Yes. So we're looking at franchises that are spanning decades that are keeping continuing characters that are somehow managing to continually engage audiences. I don't know, man. I think maybe the start of last year, I don't think anyone would have dreamt of talking about Scream and Mission Impossible in the same breath when it turned about box office longevity of a franchise. And now you can't not.
Yeah,
those are the Part 6s we're getting this year. No other big franchise is dropping a Part 6 this year. No one else has made it. So
without looking,
hats off to Ghostface.
Without looking, Courtney Cox has appeared in all 6 films. So who's the other person that's appeared in all 6?
Roger L. Jackson.
Oh, good.
Yeah, of course.
I'm glad you didn't fail that quiz because you were going to get gutted.
No, not even a
I
moment.
didn't even set that up well. I should have set it up as a screen call, but yeah, I'm glad you're on the board on that.
Yeah,
one.
and God bless them for bringing him back. Like, bring him back forever.
Actually, and not to string this out any longer than we need to, I actually have really loved in the last two films, and this is what I'll give massive props to Radio Silence, is they've acknowledged Roger L. Jackson in the
credits.
the credit, the montage in the character credits, which is something I'm pretty sure has never happened in the first four films. He's obviously got credited as the Ghostface voice and stuff like that, but I don't think he's got the visual thing with the other characters.
Yeah, I'll have to check that.
Because I feel like, well, yeah, I'll double check it. I'm happy to stand corrected if anyone out there is going to at me. But I feel like we've never really had the Ghostface.
Yeah, he was right up there, like in the credits with the ands. It was like Hayden Panettiere and Courtney Cox and Roger L. Jackson as Ghostface. Well, yeah, I mean, he's Ghostface. You know, there are obviously different killers under the mask, but if you're talking about the entity of Ghostface, it's the mask and his voice. You take away either one of those things, you don't have a franchise, baby. So pay him lots of money. I hope he's getting paid a lot of money to return and continue to use his voice, because he deserves it, because he has created an absolute icon. And yeah, I don't think he gets any respect, because we just did on this podcast, when we talk about all the killers, we talk about the actors who are under the mask, but we don't talk about the guy who actually is the voice of Ghostface. Yeah. Anyway, great job, Roger L. Jackson. Great job, Radio Silence. Great job, everyone, man.
Yes.
6. So much fun.
I'm pumped for 7. I'm pumped for 7 now.
So pumped for 7. Bring it on. If 7 is exactly as good as this and no better, I'll be so happy.
And I guess as we're going to air, and when this comes up, we don't know 100% definitively if there's going to be a 7. We heard rumors that before it even released that 7 was going to be greenlit, but then Radio Silence came out and said, look, we'd love to do a 7 if we were greenlit, but it's not being greenlit, which I think is very similar to what happened in 5. I think it may have been greenlit and someone knows about it and has leaked that, but officially Radio Silence cannot acknowledge that it's been greenlit because it's not officially on paperwork, or they have to. There's an embargo until they are allowed to say it's greenlit. So,
well, also, as soon as you announce Scream 7, you lose some of the momentum for Scream 6, because people are like, what's the next one? What's going to be the next one? And all the questions are about the next one instead of this one. But the production status of Scream 7 is officially listed as in development. So is that just a bit of a lie? I don't know. But look, let's be honest. If you have the biggest opening weekend of the entire franchise's history with your Part 6, you're getting a Part 7. It's a fact.
Well, I guess on that note, let's just agree not all sequels suck.
By definition alone, they're inferior films.